Chapter 158. His spiritual attack had been blocked. Why was it like this? Ever since his innate spiritual source spirit had awakened, Yi Hen's spiritual attacks had never failed. This was because there were very few people with innate spiritual energy in the southern summer country. No matter how strong a cultivator was or how profound their cultivation technique was, their spiritual energy would not be able to defend against it. Unless the other side's cultivation base far surpassed Yi Hen's, or they had innate spiritual energy, making it hard for him to break through. This kind of possibility did not exist. Not only did this person's cultivation base not surpass his, it was actually much weaker than him. This kind of spiritual attack could only be resisted if he had innate spiritual energy or if he cultivated a spiritual energy defense cultivation technique. But this did not make sense. His source spirit was clearly a sword. The sword source spirit was regarded as one of the strongest offensive source spirits. It was almost impossible for it to have a spiritual energy attribute. From the sword source spirit that he released, although the aura of his source spirit was very strong, it did not have any spiritual energy at all. Why? It is impossible for you to block my strength. The spiritual attack that Yi Hen was so proud of had actually been broken this easily. How could he not go crazy? When Chu Tian slowly raised his head, Yi Hen suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. Chu Tian's eyes underwent a strange change. One of his eyes turned golden and the other turned silver. Each of his eyes had 7 pupils that overlapped with each other. The colors of the pupils were all different and it looked like a blooming 7-colored flower. An ancient and mysterious aura emanated from the pair of eyes. Yi Hen was instantly covered in a heaven-shattering feeling. He felt the spiritual illusion that he had personally created fall, and there was an irresistible strength that filled his mind, making him dizzy. Those strange eyes seemed to be magnified several times. The 7 pupils seemed to be slowly moving, and while they were moving, a strange strength was released from them. It was very strong and it was like a demon god that could not be resisted. Are you proud of your spiritual illusion technique? With a hong sound, the illusory realm collapsed, and the fragments broke and reformed. A grand and ancient palace rose up, pitch black, ancient, and full of mystery. Yi Hen could not move. When he came back to his senses, his 4 limbs were nailed to a pillar, and he was surrounded by thousands of terrifying evil spirits. Each and every one of them had a murderous look on their faces, and they were eager to approach him. No! No! Get lost! Get out of my way! Chu Tian had disappeared, and what replaced him was a gigantic demon god. The demon god's full appearance could not be identified. One could only vaguely see that the demon god had 9 eyes. Each eye was of a different color, and each eye contained an unbelievable amount of demon god power. Didn't you want to kill me? Don't you want to torture me? Don't you like playing with illusions? Let me show you what a real mental illusion is. The towering demon god gently waved his hand and thousands of evil spirits crazily swarmed over, crazily gnawing at Yi Hen's flesh again and again, like an endless cycle of reincarnation. Ah! Yi Hen miserably screamed as he was torn apart alive. But he didn't regroup because he was freed. They were torn to shreds again. Reorganize again. This cycle continued until there were tens of thousands of Yi Hen. Each Yi Hen suffered the punishment of being torn apart by 100 ghosts. In reality, Yi Hen miserably screamed as he fell to the ground with blood flowing out of his 7 orifices, completely losing consciousness. His mind had completely collapsed. Although Chu Tian had spared his life, he would still be in a coma for a year and a half. He wouldn't be able to recover without 3-5 years. This genius that the Ye family was so proud of had completely lost his light. The Ye family members were all stunned. What is going on? Why was it that when Yi Hen used his mental technique, it was him who was hit in the end? Because the clash of spiritual energy happened in a split second, Luo Jinshi did not notice Yi Hen's miserable state. He quickly charged forward and turned into a golden lion. One fist was in the shape of a tiger and the other was in the shape of a lion. He brought with him a heaven-shaking might as he charged at Chu Tian. Lion-tiger dual phase. The Luo family's cultivation technique was fierce and overbearing, making it very destructive in close combat. Even someone as strong as Chu Wufeng did not dare fight Luo Jinshi in close combat. Chu Tian did not dodge at all, allowing Luo Jinshi to close in. A good chance. Kill him. The Luo family members all began to cheer. Chu Tian raised his sword to block and the netherworld sword absorbed a part of the energy. Then a layer of starlight appeared and the wild energy slammed into the starlight. The starlight shattered like a mirror. However, under Chu Tian's full force rebound, most of the energy was reflected onto Luo Jinshi. Ka! A crisp breaking sound rang out. Luo Jinshi's arms were broken and he gave a pitiful cry as he was sent flying into the air. Ha, 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 with just this kind of ability, you dare say you want to guide my cultivation? Luo Jinshi's face turned the color of a pig's liver. He never would have thought that not only would his full strength attack not break the other side's defense, he would even be heavily injured by the rebound. Not long ago, he had arrogantly wanted Chu Tian to be the Luo family's dog, saying that he would guide his cultivation. He wanted to guide him like this. This was a resounding slap to his face. Scram! Chu Tian jumped up and sent out a kick. Luo Jinshi was sent flying out of the field, losing his battle strength on the spot. This time it was the Luo family's turn to be filled with anger. Luo Jinshi's terrifying destructive might could only barely break the other side's defense and he had been heavily injured. Luo Jinshi's cultivation was above the other side's. Moreover, Luo Jinshi was a genius that the Luo family focused on training, his battle strength was much stronger than experts of the same level. How could he lose to a nameless nobody like this? Soul Sword's secret art. Heaven-cutting art. When Yi Hen and Luo Jinshi were both defeated, Chu Wufeng had already finished gathering his strength and once again released the strongest move of the Soul Sword's secret art. The Chu family's sword art was known as the strongest family martial art in Central State and the heaven-cutting art was the strongest move of the Soul Sword's secret art. Your defense is indeed not bad. What use is there in being strong? Not to mention the fact that your cultivation technique has already been broken by Luo Jinshi's attack, it is impossible for you to condense it again. Even if you can complete that kind of defense, what use is it? My sword will still pierce through it. Chu Tian's mind's eye had already seen through everything. Whether he could block it or not, he was very clear in his heart. Chu Wufeng's sharp slash was not something that the small success Starlight immortal body could block. Chu Tian was not a fool, of course he would not be stupid enough to block it. Rise! The netherworld sword was raised high up. The flaming tornado began to twist and large amounts of blue and white flames were separated. It was like a beautiful firework that was finally gathered by the blade. The flames that soared into the sky did not have a trace of heat. Instead it filled the entire area with a deep chill. Putong. When the flames were separated by Chu Tian, Feng Qingyun was finally freed. He had lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Although he did not have any internal injuries on the surface, after being burned by the netherworld ghost flame, his meridians and source had been heavily injured. Although he did not die, he was already half crippled. Chu Wufeng knit his brows. What kind of move was this? It didn't matter. This person had to be killed with a single slash. Chu Wufeng released a heaven-splitting aura as he condensed all the strength in his body. He summoned a sword chi and stabbed it at Chu Tian. This slash was even stronger than the one he had sent at Feng Qingyun. The stage began to crack under the terrifying sword chi and it was almost completely disintegrated. Chu Tian's netherworld sword had absorbed a large amount of netherworld flame, forming a power that was not inferior to Chu Wufeng's. He charged forward half a step. He disappeared. Netherworld raging flame slash. A giant flaming sword glow cut through the sky. It was 10 times stronger than any of the sword glows from before. It was like the might of all the slashes had been merged into this one slash. It could be imagined just how terrifying it was. Chu Wufeng finally revealed a look of fear. Other than his brother Chu Xinghe, he had never seen such a strong sword aura before. The two extremely strong sword glows collided in the air. The flaming sword glow burned away the soul sword art's sword chi that soared into the sky before wildly falling onto Chu Wufeng. Even Chu Wufeng's source spirit was shattered as he fell several dozen meters off the stage with a pitiful cry. Chu Wufeng, Luo Jinshi, Yi Hen, and Feng Qingyun. 4 great geniuses. They had all been defeated. And it was a crushing defeat. Chu Tian had not only defeated several hundred of them, he had also heavily injured each one of them to the point where they were half crippled. It was impossible for them to recover in a short period of time, and even if they recovered, it would be hard for them to return to their former glory. Who else was there? Chu Tian stood on the stage that was in a mess. Like a new sun, the dazzling light pierced everyone's eyes. Chu Shanhe stood up and angrily roared, "Who are you?" "Ha, ha, ha, ha. Do you want to know? This master will tell you." Chu Tian's figure changed and he gradually returned to his original appearance. This new rising star was standing proudly on the stage as he loudly announced, "Your grandfather Chu Tian is here." Chu Tian. He was Chu Tian. The nameless youth was Chu Tian. The youth that had been abandoned by the Chu family, banished by the Chu family, and even chased by the Chu family. This youth that no one cared about before, but with a speed that no one could have imagined, he had quickly risen in South Sky City, Chu Tian. The abandoned son of the Chu family, a youth that didn't even have the qualifications to enter the genealogy. Abandoned son? How ironic. The abandoned son of the Chu family had blocked Chu Xinghe's killing / shattering the fame of Chu Xinghe's 1/kill /. This abandoned son of the Chu family had shocked the entire Central State Great Games. With his own strength, he had easily defeated the top geniuses of the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. This abandoned son of the Chu family had faced Feng Qingyun, who was chasing after Chu Xinghe, but he had still easily defeated him without any hesitation. This was a rising star that could compete with Chu Xinghe. He was an abandoned son that had been banished by the Chu family. The destructive power of this was without a doubt on the level of destruction. The faces of the Chu family members all turned pale as they powerlessly fell into their seats. What kind of humiliation was this? That's right. It's me. Chu Tian stood on the stage and shouted, "Chu Tian, have come." The 3 great families felt like they had been slapped in the face several dozen times and their faces were all swollen. The youth that they desperately wanted to kill was not only safe and sound, but he had also defeated the genius that they were most proud of. In a shocking and beautiful manner, he had entered the Central State stage. Blinding your eyes. This was the effect that Chu Tian wanted. Miracle Commerce had entered Central State in the most shocking manner. The result that you didn't want the most was exactly what Father wanted to achieve. Chapter 159. Lu Ren had also used a disguise technique. Feng Kaidai had been killed. This disguise technique was more than 10 times better than hers. Even if they had known each other for a long time, she could not see through it at all. Feng Kaidai looked at Lu Ren with a face filled with surprise. She never thought that this young man would be so handsome, but he would turn himself into a mediocre person, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. This was too bad. Chu Tian. Yi Tianlang and his son's eyes turned red. This was an irreconcilable enemy. This bastard actually dared to appear in Central State City. In a hidden corner. A mature black-veiled beauty's eyes opened wide in shock. Her body began to tremble as she found it hard to suppress her excitement. This person was Chen Bingyu. Chen Bingyu knew that the phonograph was invented by the founder of Miracle Commerce, Chu Tian. Even those magnetic sound discs could have been recorded by Chu Tian, so there was no senior at all. Everything was the masterpiece of this monstrous youth. Chu Tian had been in Qilin Hall for a long time and she had even seen him several times. Had this expert always been by her side? Chen Bingyu was a martial arts fanatic, she did not have the eyes of the secular world. Age was an obstacle to her worship. This was an expert that she had always wanted to ask for advice from. Fuck. This world is too crazy. Yun Xiao was shocked as he revealed a look of disbelief. Boss has actually turned into Chu Tian. The most important thing is that he is even more handsome than me. Yun Yao was also speechless. No wonder he was so talented. No wonder even the explosive and arrogant Nangong Yun was willing to listen to his orders. If he was connected to South Sky City's genius, Chu Tian, then it would be easy to explain everything. Yun Tianhe revealed a knowing expression. Before Chu Tian founded Qilin Hall, Yun Tianhe had already investigated Lu Ren's background. Although he was not 100% sure, he was 70 to 80% sure that this youth named Lu Ren was South Sky City's Chu Tian. So he is Chu Tian. No wonder he is so strong. The people of the Chu family are really blind to remove such a person from their genealogy. The people of Central Continent City were all discussing this. Even though Chu Tian hadn't been active in the main city before, his several shocking actions had already spread his name throughout Central Continent City. All along, people had only heard of his name but had never seen him. Today, this young man finally appeared in front of people for the first time. The three families had been trying their best to discredit Chu Tian for a long time. Central Continent City's newspapers and rumors were all filled with unfavorable opinions towards Chu Tian. Now, Chu Tian had appeared in such a stunning way, instantly washing away most of the dirty water that had been poured on the three families. Chu Tian stood on the stage. Ignoring the ashen faces of the three families, he loudly announced, Chu Tian, am the chairman of Miracle Commerce. Today I officially announce that Miracle Commerce has entered the main city. The company that had created countless miracles, was it finally going to enter the main city? Chu Tian had been in Central State City for 2 weeks and the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had already secretly built the magnetic sound tower. All kinds of materials had already been prepared and from the blueprints to the production lines, everything had already been completed. Other than that, Chu Tian had won over Yun Tianhe, the Yun family, and even Qin Bingyu. He had prepared a strong protective umbrella for Miracle Commerce. Chu Tian had crossed the sea by deceiving everyone. All of this was done under the eyes of the three great families. When the three great families came back to their senses, Miracle Commerce already had the basic conditions to enter Central State City. Chu Tian had participated in the Central State City Great Competition, not only to slap the faces of the three great families, but also because he wanted to spread the news of Miracle Commerce entering Central State City. He wanted to gain enough attention so that when Miracle Commerce released products in the future, it would be hard for it not to be famous. He had done it. This was a power that was not strong, but it was enough to create a bloody storm in the seemingly stable Central State City. Impudent. The mayor angrily stood up, Central State is not a place for you to act wildly. Chu Tian stood up and spoke in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, for Sir Mayor to be so angry, this little one wants to know what I have done. What I have done. You still have the courage to ask what you have done wrong? The mayor's stage for the Feng family's genius had turned into Chu Tian's one-man show in the end. Feng Qingyun had been seriously injured and his future was hard to predict, so how could the mayor not be angry? The mayor wished he could cut him into 1,000 pieces. Sir Mayor. The head of the Chu family, Chu Shanhe, stood up and a powerful pressure was released. It made people feel like the mountains and rivers were collapsing and the sun and moon lost their light. For Chu Shanhe to become the head of the Chu family, it meant that he was not a normal person. He could release such a strong pressure without even releasing his source spirit. This meant that he was an illustrious soul realm expert at the fourth awakened soul layer and not just at the fourth awakened soul layer. He had even reached the fifth or sixth awakened soul layer, almost stepping into the true soul realm. This child is a traitor to the Chu family. He has betrayed the clan and stolen secrets, he deserves to be cut into 1,000 pieces. Chu Shanhe's voice was stern as he coldly stared at Chu Tian. Then he cupped his hands to the mayor. The Chu family has cleaned up their family, the mayor will not blame us, right? The mayor returned to his seat and said with a gloomy face, Brother Chu's family matters, this mayor will not interfere. What a good Chu family matter. Chu Tian broke out in laughter, the Chu family has abandoned me, so how could I betray the clan? As for the mayor, you are narrow-minded and short-sighted, how could a person like you be fit to sit in the mayor's position? It would be better for you to scram. The mayor's face turned livid. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. South Heaven City's Chu Tian's arrogance had always been rumored, but everyone was skeptical. Now that they saw it, it really was the case. The Feng family had not been in Central State City for a long time, but even the four great families had to give the Feng family face. Chu Tian pointed at Feng Yunlong and scolded him. What kind of person was Feng Yunlong? He was the Central State City's mayor. In terms of position in the entire Central State County, Feng Yunlong was undoubtedly the number one person. Chu Tian was just a brat that was still wet behind the ears, but he dared to scold the mayor in front of hundreds of thousands of citizens. Just this action was enough to cause a stir in Central State City. Thief! Don't be arrogant. Chu Shanhe soared into the sky and a vast aura suddenly slammed into the ground. Under the intense pressure, the entire stage actually caved in. Mountain and river soared. Chu Shanhe raised his arms high up and white spirit energy soared into the sky, instantly condensing into a giant sword. The sword had two sides, one was a mountain range and the other was a river. It was like the power of the earth was completely suppressed within it. This was the source spirit of the Chu family head. Mountain and river sword. Sword suppressing mountain and river. The title of Central State's strongest family was well deserved. Chu Shanhe was close to the true soul realm, so when he summoned his source spirit to attack, it was not something a trivial void soul realm Chu Tian could block. If this sword hit Chu Tian's body, Chu Tian would die without a doubt, with no chance of survival at all. This was not just a little cultivation-based suppression. This was simply a gap that could not be crossed. Stop! An old voice reverberated through the world. The sky suddenly became dark and gloomy. Countless thunderclouds appeared out of nowhere, as if they were born out of thin air. In just 3 seconds, the thick layer of clouds filled the sky above the Grand Assembly. Hung, hung, hung. Several dazzling bolts of lightning shot down from the clouds, falling onto Chu Shanhe's source spirit sword. The powerful heavenly thunder directly dissolved the power of the mountains and rivers. A white-haired old man in a white robe stood in the air, standing in the center of the countless thunder clouds. His body was surrounded by lightning, just like the legendary god of thunder that could control lightning. Thundercloud source spirit. It really was Yun Tianhe. The eyes of the Central State City citizens were open to a new world. The Yun family's source spirits were all of the thunder attribute. Yun Tianhe had the thundercloud source spirit, which could summon thunder clouds and control the power of thunder to attack. The most terrifying thing was that Yun Tianhe did not use any external objects, rather he used the power of the thunder clouds itself. This meant that his cultivation base was already in the true soul realm. Old bastard! Chu Shanhe angrily roared, you dare block me. Yun Tianhe's seniority was higher than Chu Shanhe by a level, so he should have already stepped down and become the remote Great Elder, supporting the new family head. Only the Chu family's situation did not allow Yun Tianhe to step down. So, this old man who was almost 100 years old was the family head and the family head, so his cultivation base was a bit higher. Yun Tianhe spread out his hands and the sky was filled with dazzling lightning. A terrifying pressure forced Chu Shanhe back several feet. The normally kind-looking Yun Tianhe was now like a god. If you want to touch him, you'll have to defeat me. Old bastard's cultivation base is suppressing people, I'll give you a hand. A brutal aura erupted from another direction as another family head flew out. His blood-red source spirit was released and it turned into a two-headed wolf monster. It was the Ye family's family head, Yi Wudao. Among the people present, The one who wanted to kill Chu Tian the most was not Chu Shanhe, but rather Yi Wudao. The grudge between Chu Tian and the Ye family was the deepest. When the Ye family's tens of thousands of cavalry attacked the city, wasn't it because of Chu Tian? The Chu family's matters, old man Yun is meddling too much. The Luo family's family head Luo Yancheng also made his move. Everyone was stunned seeing this. The Central State Great Games had turned into a fight between the four great families and it was 3 against 1. Yun Tianhe seriously knit his brows. These 3 people were all juniors to him, but Yun Tianhe was too old and had already passed his peak. His spirit energy had already regressed, and even though he was a true soul realm expert, he was still only in the 7th awakened soul layer. These 3 family heads were all in their peak years. They were at the peak 6th awakened soul layer and were already half a step into the 7th awakened soul layer. When they were young, they were all dazzling geniuses. If the 3 of them worked together to deal with Yun Tianhe, it would be hard for Yun Tianhe to resist. Yun Tianhe did not have any intention of retreating. All right, to prevent others from saying that I'm suppressing people with my seniority, you 3 juniors can come together. When the battle between the 4 great families was about to begin, a chill covered the entire area and countless crystal-clear snowflakes began to fall into the air. The faces of the 3 family heads fell. Chen Bingyu. What are you doing here? Chen Bingyu was surrounded by crystal-clear snowflakes as she slowly floated into the air. She stood behind the 3 family heads and attacked together with Yun Tianhe, using numbers to bully the few. I can't stand this. The mayor and principal could not sit still any longer. Enough. There are no rules at all. The 2 of them jumped down from the high platform, as if they wanted to join in. It's over. This time it's over. When the citizens saw this, they all felt a chill run down their spines. Once this battle began, the peak strength of Central State City would all be involved. No matter which side won, it would be a disaster for Central State City. The family heads and the mayor were all filled with an unprecedented rage. They even wanted to kill Chu Tian at all costs. Chu Tian was truly a barrel of gunpowder. He had just appeared and he had already caused such a large disturbance. The 4 great families, the Academy, and the Feng family, all these powers were facing off against each other. This could be said to be unprecedented. Chapter 160. Chu Shanhe, Yi Wudao, Luo Yancheng, Yun Tianhe, the mayor's brothers, and Chen Bingyu were the strongest people in Central State City. If they fought, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not only would the entire conference be destroyed, even the commoners watching would not be able to escape. When this intense conflict was about to break out. Stop! A calm voice rang out. You're blocking this marquee way of fighting, aren't you not putting my existence in your eyes? As Shen Fengho spoke, his body seemed to lose gravity as he slowly floated up from his seat. His aura did not seem strong, but it had a kind of dignity that was hard to resist. The Divine Wind Marquis looked like a harmless person, but this Marquis had participated in the Spirit Beast War. He had killed countless enemies in the past and was bathed in blood for many years, sweeping through the battlefield. There were countless fierce spirit beasts that had lost their courage upon hearing his name, so he was definitely a very fierce character. Once Shen Fengho appeared, everyone else's aura was weakened. Chu Shanhe said with an ugly expression, "Does the Marquis want to meddle in my Chu family's matters?" Shen Fengho lightly said, "I'm not interested in your Chu family's matters, but Chu Tian cured Katie's blocked meridian, so I owe him a large favor." Feng Katie's blocked meridian was actually cured by Chu Tian. The faces of the family heads turned very ugly. No wonder Shen Fengho had appeared in South Sky City to help Chu Tian. It seemed like as long as Shen Fengho was here, these people could not move against him at all. The mayor should have the demeanor and magnanimity of a mayor. Shen Fengho reprimanded Feng Yunlong, "A loss is a loss." Could it be that only Feng Qingyun is allowed to be arrogant and Chu Tian is not allowed to be in the limelight? If you are inferior, then you have to admit it. There are no sore losers in the Feng family. The mayor tightly clenched his fists. He was not willing. You are all people with status, but you are all so narrow-minded. Where is the integrity of a central state noble family? This marquis has embarrassed you. If the upper beam was not straight, the lower beam would be crooked. It was no wonder that the descendants they had raised were all arrogant and domineering, wanting to cripple someone's cultivation at every turn, forcing them to be slaves, and not hesitating to sacrifice their lives for a moment of pride. How could such a disposition be of any use? How could he hope to lead the family to serve the kingdom when he was in charge of the family's interests in the future? On the other hand, Chu Tian always left a bottom line when he attacked. This was the true spirit of martial arts. All of you should learn from him. The marquis is right. Chu Shanhe and the others suffered a setback. He could only bite the bullet and accept it. Shen Fengho and Feng Yuntian looked at Chu Tian with a hint of admiration in their eyes. Young man, your rate of improvement has surprised me. I was right about you. I hope that if he continues like this, he will one day become a pillar of southern Xia. If it weren't for Shen Fengho, they would have been in trouble today. Chu Tian cupped his fists in gratitude. Thank you. Let's continue. Shen Fengho waved his sleeves and instantly returned to his seat. Everyone had to give face to Shen Fengho. They all returned to their seats with dark expressions. Although there was a series of chaos, the competition was not over. Only Chu Tian and Nangong Yun were left on the stage. Boss is truly formidable, I'm completely convinced. Nangong Yun said with a face full of excitement. However, we have never competed before. Why don't we use today's opportunity to have a good fight? Chu Tian grinned and deliberately provoked her. I remember that a certain beauty has been clamoring to beat me to the ground. I was so worried that I couldn't sleep at night. What happened in the end? I just showed a little bit of my strength and she was terrified. Motherfucker. You think I'm afraid of you? Watch this move. Nangong Yun's slender legs suddenly leaped up, and his entire body was emitting red essence force. A fire phoenix soared into the sky, and a resonant phoenix cry shook the entire stage. A divine beast's might suddenly surged out. Both of Nangong Yun's fists were burning with dazzling flames, and 4 to 5 fist shadows blasted towards Chu Tian. A god-level source spirit greatly increased one's battle strength. Nangong Yun borrowed the power of the fire phoenix and her strength increased by several times. Although she had not reached the triple awakened soul realm, her attack power was enough to shatter the protective spirit energy of a triple awakened soul realm master. Good move. Chu Tian's netherworld sword was covered in flames and a large sword glow was released. Each sword glow blocked Nangong Yun's attack, and when Nangong Yun's fists collided with the blade, most of them were absorbed and burned. Only a small portion of the energy was used on Chu Tian. The fire phoenix's power was very overbearing. Even the netherworld ghost flame had a hard time burning it. Chu Tian did not even think as he instantly released the starlight immortal body and awakened the demon god's sword source spirit. When the sword in his hand was filled with the demon god's power, its destructive power increased by several times. Netherworld flickering flame. A burning sword glow charged at Nangong Yun with a shocking speed. Nangong Yun already knew how strong Chu Tian's sword art was. She immediately released the starlight immortal body and released the fire phoenix source spirit's power to its peak. A layer of golden red flames covered her from head to toe. This layer of flame surrounded the starlight immortal body's protection and formed another layer of energy protection. Break! Nangong Yun's fist slammed into the sword glow, and with the sound of metal clashing, it actually changed the direction of the strong netherworld flickering flame slash. Large amounts of blue and white netherworld flames scattered around Nangong Yun's body. The netherworld flickering flame slash was not only strong, the netherworld ghost flame was also very fatal. Not only could it weaken any defensive cultivation technique, it could also cause strong injuries to the human body. Nangong Yun knew just how strong the netherworld sword was. Although this sword had not recovered to its peak state, it was still more dangerous than the divine wind sword in Feng Katie's hand. Because of this, Nangong Yun was already prepared. Other than the Starlight Immortal Body's defense, she also had a layer of flames formed from the Fire Phoenix's power. The Fire Phoenix's power was very strong and it was hard for Chu Tian's current netherworld flame to ignite it. With this special defense, Nangong Yun could temporarily resist the netherworld flame slash. Ha, ha! Your sword is useless against me. Nangong Yun continued to block the sword glows coming from all directions as she wildly laughed with pride. Chu Tian did not use his full strength. After all, Nangong Yun was on his side and it wouldn't be good if she was heavily injured. But seeing that Nangong Yun could easily block the flickering flame slash, Chu Tian was relieved. Not bad. Not bad. Nangong Yun was a top talent. In terms of talent and source spirit, she was above Chu Xinghe. She just lacked opportunities and training. With the strength Chu Tian was currently displaying, it was more than enough to deal with a triple awakened soul expert, but it was still not enough to defeat Nangong Yun. Nangong Yun had already surpassed a normal triple awakened soul expert. Chu Tian's heart was filled with confidence. The demon god's sword lit up and a thick demonic god's energy was poured into the netherworld sword. The sword glow instantly doubled as it slashed at Nangong Yun. Nangong Yun's arms were covered in flames as she raised them in front of her to block. Pang! Sparks flew in all directions. Nangong Yun's body was covered in starlight and she was sent flying 10 meters, almost falling off the stage. Chu Tian gently brandished his sword and the flames floating in the air all gathered onto the sword. The originally 3.5-foot long sword suddenly turned into a giant burning sword that was over a meter long. Netherworld Raging Flame Slash. When the Netherworld Flame Sword was trained to the small success realm, one could use the flickering flame slash. When one broke through the small success realm and mastered the cultivation technique, one could use the raging flame slash. Compared to the flickering flame slash, the raging flame slash was faster, stronger, and more destructive. The weakness was that the raging flame slash needed a long time to charge up. While Chu Tian was practicing the Netherworld Flame Sword, he was constantly improving the cultivation technique. Chu Tian could add the charging stage to the flickering flame slash, not giving the enemy any chance to interrupt him. Let's decide this in one move. Nangong Yun gave a loud roar and the fire phoenix turned into countless golden flames. When it reformed, it turned into a giant golden bird. This was a move that Nangong Yun had just comprehended. She had obtained inspiration from the great Nirvana scripture and combined it with the Nangong family's burning the heaven art. She had created this move. She did not have a name for it yet, but there was no doubt about its might. Chu Tian disappeared again. This time, it transformed into a gigantic flaming sword light that cut through the sky and slashed toward the golden flame bird. The instant the two collided, a violent explosion shook the entire arena. Blue-white flames and golden-red flames intertwined, forming a mushroom cloud that rose into the air. So strong. Everyone was shocked. Feng Qingyun's loss was not an injustice at all. Even if Chu Tian did not participate in the battle, Feng Qingyun would not have been able to defeat Nangong Yun. This was because Nangong Yun's attack range was too wide and the destructive power was too strong. No matter how good Feng Qingyun's illusion technique was, with the limited space on the stage, it was impossible for him to dodge this kind of attack. Chu Tian's sword directly cut through the flames. The sword fell onto Nangong Yun's body. The starlight around Nangong Yun's body shattered and she flew out of the flames, falling outside the stage in a sorry state. When Chu Tian walked out of the flames, the starlight around his body was shattered. Your attack range is very wide, but it is not as concentrated as mine. If my defense was a little weaker or your destructive power was a little stronger, perhaps I would have lost. A loss is a loss. I'm convinced. Nangong Yun stood up with a straightforward smile. Chu Tian had shown mercy to her in the end, only breaking her defense and not causing any serious injuries. Losing to you is not shameful. But don't be too happy. I will catch up to you sooner or later. The great competition was over. First place, Chu Tian. Second place, Nan Gong Yun. Third place, Feng Qing Yun. Fourth place, Chu Wufeng. Fifth place, Yi Hen. Sixth place, Luo Jinshi. There was no dispute over this ranking. Only the ranking from the ranking competition did not represent the final ranking. According to the previous competitions, the selection competition, the ranking competition, and the challenge competition had just finished 2 rounds and the final challenge competition had not begun yet. The so-called challenge competition was when the ranking competition ended. If a participant was not satisfied with the ranking, they could issue a challenge to them. Yun Xiao decisively jumped out, I want to challenge Chu Wufeng. The Chu family members all had ugly expressions on their faces. Chu Wufeng had been crippled by Chu Tian's sword and it would be impossible for him to recover without at least a year. If Yun Xiao challenged Chu Wufeng at this time, was there even a need to fight? There was no need to say that Yun Xiao had replaced Chu Wufeng's position. Lin Mu challenged Luo Jinshi and Fang Han challenged Yi Hen. In the end, even Feng Qingyun was replaced by Feng Kaidai. Feng Qingyun was already half crippled and wouldn't be able to get out of bed for at least a year and he wouldn't be able to recover without 2-3 years of treatment. Even if he was in the top 6, he still couldn't participate in the trial. It would be better to give it to someone else from the Feng family. The top 6 of the great competition were Chu Tian, Nan Gong Yun, Feng Kaidai, Yun Xiao, Fang Han, and Lin Mu. The Chu, Luo, and Yi families almost exploded with rage. The final result was actually like this. Chu Tian had truly played a beautiful move to remove the firewood from the bottom of the pot. Not only had he defeated the 4 of them, he had also deliberately injured them so they wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time, thus depriving them of the right to participate in the Central State Trials. The Central State Trials were very important to a genius, it was a springboard for a genius to take a step forward. The 4 of them were already very strong. If they participated in the Central State Trials, they would have reached a whole new level. In the end, they did not have this chance anymore. It was because they had offended someone they should not have offended. In the end, it was the Yun family's playboy and the 2 lowly mercenaries who took advantage of the situation. The Central State Great Competition that everyone was waiting for had ended like this. Chapter 161. The trial spots had been decided and the competition was over. Out of the 6 incomparably precious trial spots, the Chu, Luo, and Yi families had not obtained a single one. The hopeless Yun family had obtained one, making everyone sigh. Brother Chu saved our lives in the Black Wind stronghold and now he has given us a great opportunity. We will never forget this favor. Lin Mu and Fang Han came forward and bowed to Chu Tian. The underworld mercenary group is willing to work for Brother Chu under the banner of Miracle Commerce. Fang Han then said, back in the Black Wind stronghold, Brother Chu had said that he had to do something with all his heart and we have always remembered it. Now that we have come, I hope Brother Chu will not reject us. How precious was the trial opportunity. They had already offended the Ye family and the Luo family in order to obtain the trial qualification. With the strength of a small mercenary group, it was impossible for them to block the revenge of this giant. Now the wisest choice was to form a group with Miracle Commerce. Choosing this path means facing danger. Are you prepared for this? From the first day we became mercenaries, we were already prepared. Our dream was to become a free mercenary group, to go out and adventure, to see the world. Now Miracle Commerce has this ability. Ambition, dreams, and courage, good. Chu Tian did not hesitate at all. Then from today onwards, the Underworld Mercenary Group will be a mercenary group working with Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce will buy 50% of the mercenary group's shares and invest in you. We will help you expand, provide you with talents, and provide you with resources. All you need to do is lead your team well. Yes. Greetings to the chairman. The 2 of them happily bowed to Chu Tian. Miracle Commerce was a large company and a large mercenary group, how could they not have their own private army? The underworld mercenary group had been established for less than 3 years and had a clean background. The 2 young mercenary leaders had ancient bloodlines and had good potential, so they were good targets for investment. Tell me the list of members, the members' resumes, the financial situation, and etc. Once you have organized this information, I will send people to complete the contract and procedures. After Chu Tian finished, he went to the Yun family. The Yun family had picked up a large bargain. How could Yun Tianhe not be happy? 100 tables of banquets were set up for the entire clan to celebrate. They even treated Chu Tian as an honored guest in a high-profile manner. This was to send a message to the entire city, especially to the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. The Yun family and Chu Tian were firm allies. From now on, whoever made an enemy out of Chu Tian would be making an enemy out of the Yun family. The 4 great families had been fighting openly and secretly all year round. They all had their own strengths and weaknesses and kept each other in check. This time, the Chu, Luo, and Yi families were likely to join hands to deal with the Yun family. For the Yun family, this was undoubtedly a great deal of pressure. But Yun Tianhe firmly believed that Chu Tian was stronger than the 3 families' alliance. Come on. My Yun family will accept it. In terms of the number of experts, the Yun family was inferior to the Chu family. In terms of the size of their private army, the Yun family could not compare to the Ye family. In terms of political influence, the Yun family was inferior to the Luo family. However, the Yun family was a family of scholars with considerable influence in southern Xia. It would not be easy to destroy them. Mr. has entered the main city is about to become lively. Yun Tianhe broke out in laughter. After drinking a few cups of wine, his face was filled with joy. But since we're in Central State City, how can we not have a place to stay? Those 3 families have extraordinary methods and power. They have countless death soldiers, so we have to be on guard against them. Chu Tian of course agreed. Even if he didn't care, he had to consider the young Miss and Yingying's safety. They couldn't live in danger all the time, right? Does old Yun have any suggestions? The Yun sect's new headquarters has already been completed. It has a martial field, training field, and laboratory. If Mr. doesn't mind, how about we give it to Miracle Commerce to use as their headquarters in Central State City? This old man was truly generous. How could the Yun sect's new headquarters be shabby? Yun Tianhe had his own plans. If the Yun sect gave their resources to Miracle Commerce, the Yun family would not suffer a loss. The Yun family's scholars would have an easier time entering Miracle Commerce. They could directly learn from Qilin Hall and they could also ask Miracle Commerce for advanced technology. This was a mutually beneficial matter. Since it was like this, Chu Tian would not be polite. Yun Tianhe saw that the matter had been settled. There's no time to lose. Yun Yao will bring Mr. to familiarize yourself with the new home. If there is anything you need to improve, you can inform this old man. Yun Yao brought Chu Tian to the new headquarters. The Yun sect had 2 main courtyards, one in the north and one in the south. This new courtyard was even larger than the 2 courtyards. From the outside, it looked like a 9-way castle. Just the 3- and 4-story residential areas on the outside could fit several thousand people. There was a beautiful artificial lake, a beautiful back garden, a large beast carriage yard, and several experimental breeding areas. This level of luxury was even more exaggerated than the large family mansions. There weren't many mansions in Central State that could compare to this. Sturdy. Safe. There were source energy arrays all around and there were guards every few steps. These guards were all personally taken care of by the Yun family experts. Even with Chu, Luo, Yi, and the Feng family's power, it would be hard for them to infiltrate this place. After looking at the outside, they began to look at the inside. It was just as Yun Tianhe had described. The main courtyard had everything. There were 6 martial fields, 10 training fields, various kinds of laboratories, large libraries, and material warehouses. It was enough to satisfy the needs of a large family. What you see is only a small part of it. Yun Yao and Chu Tian walked through a fake mountain. For example, this fake mountain, there are several sturdy secret rooms inside. The entire underground area is a fourth of the manor, and there are many secret passages that can be connected to the Yun family's secret altar. If there is an emergency, it can be changed at any time. It is an absolutely safe place. Chu Tian nodded. It's so, it's quite complete. There's nothing to change. Yun Yao saw his proud appearance and her heart felt a bit uncomfortable. The Yun family took 2 years to build this. Do you know how much it cost to build this land in the main city? Not to mention the restrictions protecting the house and the value of the equipment inside. The Yun family didn't use it and it was picked up by you. At this time. Suddenly. A black shadow passed by the fake mountain in front of them. Who is it? Could it be that those powers were in a rush to send people to assassinate Chu Tian? Yun Xiao had just boasted about how tight the security here was and how safe it was. In the end, an assassin had come to assassinate him before he could even finish speaking. This was a big loss of face. Stop for me. Yun Yao angrily roared. She suddenly shot forward. Her body was covered in lightning as she sent a palm out at the other side. The black shadow gently swayed and easily dodged the palm. It grabbed Yun Yao's wrist and pushed her back. Yun Yao fell to the ground and staggered a few steps, not being able to stabilize herself. Damn! Yun Yao revealed a trace of anger. She never thought that the other side would be an expert. Just as Yun Yao was about to unleash the full power of her source spirit, she felt an icy cold current spread through her meridians where her opponent had just grabbed her. In a very short period of time, it had spread throughout her entire body, making her feel a bone-chilling cold. Even her spirit energy had been frozen, as if there was no way to circulate it. Such a strong strength. I am not this person's opponent. Yun Yao's face changed several times. The black shadow did not want to fight and turned to escape. Ayaya, coming and going at night, I never thought that Vice Principal Chen would have this kind of interest. Chu Tian leisurely said, but since you're here, why are you in such a rush to leave? How about you sit down and have a cup of tea? What? It was Chen Bingyu. Yun Yao was shocked. No wonder she couldn't beat him, Chen Bingyu was in the true soul realm. She was a super expert in the late awakened soul realm. The black shadow hesitated for a few seconds before gently jumping off. She was like a light snowflake, slowly falling down from the fake mountain. Her plump and mature body was wrapped in tight black clothes. Her plump and towering twin peaks and her round and alluring buttocks that were like honey peaches were really curvaceous, showing off her mature and plump beauty. Her pair of slender and tight thighs were too fat and too skinny. One could feel the wonderful elasticity and vitality without even touching them. Zee. Such a good figure. Of all the women that Chu Tian knew, perhaps only the young miss could compare to her. When Chen Bingyu saw Chu Tian, her expression was a bit nervous and awkward. She had a cold personality and was not good at expressing herself, so she dryly said, I've been presumptuous. You should have been following me since the beginning of the competition. Chu Tian helplessly spread out his hands. What do you want to do? Could it be that you want to kidnap me just because I'm handsome? Yun Xiao wished he could tear this fellow's mouth apart. Did this bastard not know who the person in front of him was? Was the Ice Queen someone that you could take liberties with? Chen Bingyu's personality was famous for being bad. She did not smile or speak well, but she did not need to because anyone she offended had been turned into an ice sculpture. Chen Bingyu did not have a sense of humor, so she honestly explained, after you left the competition, there were people following you, so I took care of them. I followed you because I was afraid that Chu Shanhe and the others would make a move. Oh. Then I really must thank you. Chu Tian looked at this slightly reserved woman and then looked at Yun Yao beside him. All right, young Miss Yun can go back and rest first. I'll talk to Vice Principal Chen alone. Chen Bingyu had helped Chu Tian in the competition and Chen Bingyu also wanted to join Qilin Hall, so she should not have any bad intentions. Moreover, with Chen Bingyu's high cultivation base, if she really had bad intentions towards Chu Tian, it would not matter if Yunyao stayed or not. So she said her goodbyes without even thinking about it. Chu Tian looked at this cold and inarticulate woman. What do you want to say? You can tell me now. Yes. She was clearly much older than this youth, and her cultivation was also much stronger than this youth. However, when she stood in front of this youth, she felt as if she was facing the vast sea and the starry sky. That vast and deep sense of mystery made her feel a little awe. Chen Bingyu took out a scroll. My cultivation base has not improved in 2 years and there are many obstacles in my cultivation that I can't think of a way to solve, so I want to ask you to help me take a look. So it's like this. Let me take a look. In front of Chen Bingyu, everyone felt as if they were walking on thin ice. However, this youth was very carefree, completely at ease. It was like he was talking to a good friend or even a junior. On the other hand, Chen Bingyu felt a bit uncomfortable. She felt like this was an old monster wearing a youth's skin. Chen Bingyu was a martial arts fanatic, similar to South Sky City's Xiong Tianyan. With this kind of personality, she was destined to not be too worldly. She would not look down on someone because of their age or cultivation base. The world was big and there were all sorts of strange things. There really were heavenly geniuses that existed. This. Chu Tian opened the scroll and looked over it. After looking over it, his mind began to turn. The cultivation technique you cultivate, is it an ancient cultivation technique of unknown origin? Yes. Have you cultivated it to the large success realm? Yes. Do you feel a chill every time you cultivate? Do you feel your spirit energy freeze every time you try to break through to the next realm? Chen Bingyu's snow-white cheeks were already flushed with excitement. Yes. Chu Tian knit his brows and said, this is a bit serious. Your ancient cultivation method was not created for humans in the first place. Chen Bingyu's eyes stared at him. What? This is a foreign race cultivation technique that was transformed into a human cultivation technique. Only the level of the person who changed the cultivation technique was not high enough, so the transformation was not successful. It can only be considered a half-finished product. You also know that different races have different physiques, different acupuncture points, and different meridians. This cultivation technique is very good, but if you cultivate it, the side effects will appear. What should I do? Vice Principal Chen, forgive me for speaking bluntly, this is a bit troublesome. Chu Tian rolled up the scroll and pretended to have a headache. If your cultivation level is not deep enough, then you can just waste it and not cultivate it. But you have already cultivated it to the large success realm and are about to reach the perfection realm. The cultivation technique will affect your source spirit, and once you waste it, your cultivation base will drop. The gains will not make up for the losses. What should she do? When Chen Bingyu had found this cultivation technique in the ruins, she had been captivated by the profoundness of the cultivation technique. She did not think too much about it before cultivating it. After cultivating it for 10 years, how could she waste it just like that? Was there really no other way? You're lucky. If you hadn't met me, even the great scholar Gu Qianqiu wouldn't have been able to help you. Chu Tian gave the scroll back to her. Stay in the Qilin Hall for a while and write down the complete cultivation technique for me. I'll find the right medicine and help you solve your problem in a month. Chen Bingyu happily clenched her fists. Really? It's fine if you don't believe me. No, I believe you. Chu Tian secretly laughed in his heart. This fellow was truly pure. Wouldn't it be easy for Chu Tian to solve her problem? Chu Tian did not immediately give her an answer or help her solve it, letting her stay in the headquarters. With a great deity like Chen Bingyu, Chu Tian would not have any worries. Then he would slowly help her improve her cultivation technique and let her see how hard Chu Tian worked. He would do a difficult thing for her and help her get out of her predicament. Wouldn't she be grateful to Chu Tian like this? At that time, hey, Chu Tian revealed a naughty smile. This matter was decided like this. The young Miss and Ying were coming, so Chu Tian had to tidy up the new house and prepare to welcome the two sisters. Chapter 162. 2 days later, an inconspicuous small caravan entered the main city. The entire caravan had a total of less than 300 people, and a large number of beast carriages were pulling heavy goods. 2 exquisite and beautiful white rhinoceros beast carriages were driving in the middle of the caravan, and 18 silent black-robed men were guarding the sides. Central State was bustling with commerce and there were countless large and small companies. Who would care about an ordinary caravan? At this time, the curtain of the beast carriage was lifted and half a beautiful and delicate face appeared. Her hair was in a bun and her eyebrows were like a painting. Her skin was as smooth as jade and her cherry lips were red. There were 2 strands of hair on her cheeks that were gently blown by the wind, adding a bit of charm. Her bright and clear eyes were like clear water, a bit mischievous, intelligent and pure. The girl looked like she was only 15 or 16 years old, but her body was quite perfect. She was wearing a light green dress with a small waist and was filled with a youthful and lively aura. Wow! The main city is really big and prosperous. It's much bigger than South Sky City and it's also very clean and beautiful. This is Ying's first time here. This girl was naturally South Sky City's Meng Ying. There had been no news of Chu Tian ever since he left. She had been stuck in South Sky City for half a month and couldn't wait any longer. When the time with Chu Tian arrived, she followed her elder sister to Central State. The 2 sisters' luck was very good. It just so happened that the Central State City's Great Games were being held. The 4 great families' attention was on the Great Games and they didn't pay attention to the changes in South Sky City. Therefore, the 2 of them didn't meet any danger or trouble on the way and smoothly entered the main city. The white-clothed girl was wearing a snow-white robe that couldn't hide her impressive figure. She had a face that could cause the downfall of a city and was beautiful to the point of being flawless. Her face was like goose fat, her lips were like cherry blossoms, her eyebrows were like ink, her eyes were like autumn water, and her eyes were like a shining gem. She gave people a mature and dignified feeling. Meng Qinggu was sitting in the beast carriage in front of Meng Ying. Even if she had a calm personality, she was filled with excitement at this moment. She had finally taken this step. Main City. The heart of Central State County. The gathering place of all the major powers in Central State County. This was the most fertile place in Central State, and at the same time, there was strong competition. Anyone who could gain a foothold here was a top force in Central State City. Chu Tian had come to Central State City 2 weeks in advance and he didn't know what the situation was like. Could a single person really stir the muddy waters of Central State City? It would be best if he could do it. Even if he couldn't, they didn't want him to mess around. Chu Tian was the true soul of miracle commerce. If miracle commerce left Chu Tian, then their achievements would be limited. While Meng Qinggu was feeling a little nervous, a burly man returned to the team with a face full of excitement. "Missy, you definitely won't believe it. Everyone on the street is talking about the head president. I just had to ask around a little and I got news about the head president. It took no effort at all." "What? Shouldn't he be keeping a low profile? Why does the whole city know about it? Did you cause some big trouble again?" Meng Qinggu was a little worried. If Chu Tian caused trouble in Central State again, it wouldn't be easy to clean it up. Xiong Tianyan reported the situation. Chu Tian came to Central State City and provoked the Heavenly Sword Young Master. He didn't die from a single slash from the Heavenly Sword Young Master, breaking the legend of the Heavenly Sword Young Master's 1/kill. Then he went to the Yun sect to cause trouble, making the entire Yun family worship him. Finally he joined forces with Nangong Yun and the Yun family to create Qilin Hall, creating a large stir in Central State City. The matter that shocked the entire city was Chu Tian had participated in the Central State City Great Games and had actually defeated all the geniuses in the Great Games, instantly becoming the most dazzling genius of the new generation in Central State City. In order to kill him, the three great families did not hesitate to make a move, but they were stopped by Yun Tianhe, Chen Bingyu, and Shen Fengho. The Meng Qingwu sisters were stunned. Chu Tian had used less than 2 weeks to become like the sun in the sky, becoming a hot person in Central State City. How did this fellow do it? Then where is he now? The chairman has moved into the Miracle headquarters. It's said that this used to be the Yun family's Yun sect's headquarters, but it has now been given to the chairman as his headquarters in Central State. Let's go. The Meng Qingwu sisters were filled with joy. Chu Tian was really skilled. Who in the Yun family didn't know this? The Yun family had even taken out the newly built headquarters to give to him. Even a fool could see that they were trying to win her over. Chu Tian had not only caused a ruckus in Central State, he had also made several allies for Miracle Commerce. He had even prepared a new headquarters for Miracle Commerce, so the two sisters could just move in. This was something that the Meng Qingwu sisters never expected. When the Meng Qingwu sisters brought the caravan out of the car in front of the headquarters, they carefully looked over the castle-like building. The high walls, the grand building, and the tight security, it was like an iron bucket. The space inside was very wide, just the area it took up was very shocking. There was no need to worry about being attacked here. There were medicine fields, breeding farms, laboratories, and cultivation rooms. They were all made by the Yun family's scholars with the most advanced equipment and technology. Damn! Meng Yingying stomped her feet and her cheeks filled with anger, looking like she was in a bad mood. She loudly complained, I've been worried for so many days for nothing. That bad fellow has been doing so well. Meng Qingwu helplessly smiled, why haven't you called him out yet? Meng Yingying took out a large megaphone and ran to the door to shout, you idiot Chu Tian. What are you doing? Come out and welcome us. Meng Qingwu watched from the side with a faint smile. This girl was so worried that she couldn't eat or drink, but now she could finally relax. The door slowly opened. Nangong Yun charged out like a red tornado, ha, 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 ha. Yingying, big sister Qingwu. You're finally here. This old lady missed you to death. Come give me a hug. Meng Yingying saw Nangong Yun after so many days, of course her face was filled with excitement and joy. She felt a terrifying strength, like it could topple the mountains and overturn the seas, almost crushing her into mincemeat. I.O. Big senior sister's cultivation base has increased by a lot. You're not bad either. Let me see, you're almost at the peak first body refinement layer. This improvement is too fast. Of course. Meng Yingying deliberately raised her voice, but she was saying it for the people behind her to hear. I spend most of my time in closed-door cultivation, I've used up 5 boxes of meteor grass. Now the starlight immortal body is almost at the peak of the glass body, I'm not far from the diamond body, powerful right? You're almost at the diamond body. Nangong Yun was shocked, how could this be? Meng Yingying did not lie. The starlight immortal body consumed a lot of materials, but as long as there were enough materials, the cultivation speed was very fast. When Chu Tian left South Sky City, Meng Yingying had already reached the glass body refinement realm. With this crazy cultivation, it wasn't strange for her to reach the diamond body refinement realm. The most important thing was that Meng Yingying and Meng Qingwu's source spirits had a very limited effect on their battle strength. This meant that the two of them could not practice most battle-type cultivation techniques, so they could only focus on defense. Therefore, if they focused on one cultivation technique, the two of them would progress faster. Meng Yingying deliberately did not look at the people behind her. Chu Tian said with a troubled face, "I-oh. Why did my right eyelid keep jumping when I woke up today? So it's this little girl who came." Meng Yingying's eyes slanted, "You don't welcome this girl. How could I dare?" Chu Tian walked over, "Long time no see. Hug." Chu Tian came over and gave her a large bear hug, just like hugging a warm and elastic ball of cotton. This little girl's figure had improved again. Meng Yingying was stunned. She couldn't resist, but she also couldn't resist. Her face turned red on the spot. This bastard hugged me in front of everyone. Damn. He actually bullied me as soon as we met. Chu Tian let go of Meng Yingying and walked in front of the young miss. Young miss is even more elegant than before, hug. Meng Qingwu's eyebrows knit together and her slender legs kicked out. In the end, it was dodged by Chu Tian. Young miss is still too cautious. Chu Tian gave an embarrassed smile. We're all family, why are you so shy? Meng Qingwu's face turned red. In front of this many people, don't speak nonsense. Chu Tian helplessly shrugged his shoulders. The new home has already been prepared. 2 young misses, please come in. We've arranged a welcoming banquet for you to wash away your dust. That's more like it. Meng Yingying nodded in satisfaction. She pulled her elder sister's hand and walked inside. Let's go. Let's go to our new home. Zhang Liqing and Xiong Tianyan also walked over. Old Zhang is becoming younger and younger. His cultivation base is about to reach the triple awakened soul. This is truly a cause for celebration. Chu Tian said this as he looked at Xiong Tianyan. Uncle Xiong's cultivation base is also about to reach the second awakened soul layer. His progress is truly godly. This is all because of you. Xiong Tianyan gave a few loud laughs. If it wasn't for Miracle Commerce's resources and the meteor grass, how could I have progressed this fast? Zhang Liqing stroked his beard and said with a look of admiration, the Yun sect is such a large organization and they're treating you like an honored guest. You really aren't simple. My luck is good, it's just good luck. Please come in. The Miracle Commerce staff began to send everything into the headquarters. There were over 100 barrels of refined crystal oil and they could be used to make source energy batteries at any time. This was a resource that could be used frequently in the future. There were also large amounts of meteor grass and countless other products. What made Chu Tian surprised was that among the goods the caravan brought, the most was Meng Yingying's things. There were over 150 boxes. Each box was large and heavy. What's inside? Reporting to the chairman, we don't know either. This is Sir Meng Yingying's great invention in South Sky City. She said it was a secret weapon that could be used in Central State. This was truly a great story. That stupid girl could also invent things. Chu Tian entered the headquarters and first introduced the Yun Yao and Yun Xiao siblings to everyone. During his time in Central Continent City, these two had indeed helped Chu Tian quite a bit, so they could be considered to be on his side. With Miracle Commerce fully established, we need to move quickly. Chu Tian and Meng Qingwu discussed the company's plans. Tianjin Chamber of Commerce has secretly made over 2,000 phonographs and a magnetic sound tower has been built. The others are still being built and the radios are being produced in the factory. What we need to consider now is how to start. Chu Tian had basically spent all of his money, but Meng Qingwu had brought 20 million gold coins. With the obstruction of the Chu, Luo, and Yi families, it would not be easy for Miracle Commerce to expand in Central State City. First, it would be hard to add factories and stores. The 3 great families would definitely put pressure on them. Even if Miracle Commerce had a large amount of money, they might not be able to buy them. The true large factories and resource suppliers were controlled by the medium-sized families. These families would not dare offend the 3 great families to help Miracle Commerce. Let's first open a source energy restaurant. Meng Yingying confidently gave a suggestion. The food and beverage industry is a small business at the bottom, they don't have as many worries as the families. We can just spend several times the money to buy them. Meng Qingwu nodded, I also think this way. Yingying has a very good food innovation that can be used at this time. Chu Tian thought of those large boxes. Did Yingying really invent something? Chu Tian knew the young miss personality. If the young miss was this confident, then perhaps it really was a good thing. Chapter 163. In the carefree valley, Feng Kaidai, who was dressed in a palace dress, was practicing her swordsmanship. Her famous sword Divine Wind was as brilliant as a green rainbow. Her graceful figure danced and moved, as beautiful as a fairy in the forest. She was light and agile, and the airflow within 10 feet was stirred by the threatening sword edge. It was filled with strength and elegance. After the sword dance, the sword returned to its sheath. "Young miss." Xiang Hu walked over the green grass and respectfully said, "The Marquis has asked you to come over." Feng Kaidai calmed her spirit energy and revealed a faint smile as she walked into the bamboo house. Shen Fengho and Feng Yuntian saw that their daughter's aura was even more elegant and her cultivation technique had taken a step forward. His heart was filled with satisfaction. The Central State Tower is about to open and this trial has a great meaning. I've asked a friend to make several elixirs that will be helpful to your cultivation, so you can take them. Shen Fengho opened the small box and several exquisite jade bottles were placed inside. A strange medicinal fragrance filled the air, making anyone who smelled it feel invigorated. Shen Fengho introduced the pills in the jade bottles one by one. Xiang Hu's eyes almost popped out from the side. Whether it was the type or the quality, they were all the best of the best. For people in the Void Soul realm, they had a very significant effect on increasing their strength. Each pill was worth over 1 million gold coins and there were at least 20 million gold coins worth of pills here. Feng Kaidai was not surprised, rather she was used to it. This was a common occurrence for her. Since she was young, she had treated elixirs as food and elixirs as snacks. The resources she had spent on Feng Kaidai over the years was enough to create a super genius like the Central State Four Young Masters. Because she had taken large amounts of elixirs over the years, Feng Kaidai had accumulated a large amount of spiritual energy in her meridians. Once her blocked meridian physique was healed and her meridians were opened, Feng Kaidai broke through in an instant. "Father, you should know that the spiritual energy in my body cannot be refined. Even if I take the elixirs now, I won't be able to absorb it, so it will just be a waste." Feng Kaidai shook her head and said, "Moreover, the spiritual energy in my body is enough for me to break through to the illustrious soul realm, so these pills are for the void soul realm and are not very useful to me." Shen Fengho rubbed his chin. "You're not wrong to say that. The quality of these pills is still not high enough. I have to find some time to make a trip to Royal City and get some higher grade spirit herbs from there." Xiang Hu's heart was bleeding. There was a whole batch of pills worth tens of millions of gold coins, but this father and daughter pair disdained them because they were too low level. This was really infuriating. Shen Fengho was a little troubled. "What should we do with these pills?" "Leave it to me." Feng Kaidai took out a bottle and threw it to Xiang Hu. "Brother Hu, this bottle is for you." "Miss Xie." Xiang Hu excitedly received the pill. "Chu Tian sent me an invitation to attend the opening ceremony of Miracle Commerce Restaurant." Feng Kaidai closed the box and let Xiang Hu carry it. "I was worried about being empty-handed and not knowing what to give. These pills came at the right time." Giving away these tens of millions of gold coins worth of pills as a gift, Shen Fengho did not feel it was a pity at all. Rather he said with a bit of worry, "Chu Tian has given you a new life and this father has helped you twice, but it was only a slight effort. It is not worth returning his favor. Only Chu Tian's alchemy skills are very high. These pills are very precious to normal people, but they might not be able to enter his eyes. Moreover, Chu Tian has broken through to the second awakened soul layer, so these pills will not be of much help to him. Chu Tian has many people by his side. Other than Nangong Yun, he doesn't know anyone else. I'll give them these gifts as a meeting gift." "It's decided." Feng Kaidai called out to Xiang Hu to leave. When Feng Yuntian saw the smile on his daughter's face, he couldn't help revealing a heartfelt gratification. He looked up at the sky as if he was thinking of something. It was his wife who had died many years ago. Shen Fengho owed his wife too much, so he wanted to make it up to Kaidai. Even if he knew it was futile, he still did not hesitate to spend large amounts of resources on her. Feng Yuntian did not know how much pressure he gave Feng Kaidai. The entire Feng family hated him and the people of Central State City laughed at him. It was because of this pressure that Feng Kaidai secretly ran away from home. But what no one would have thought was that running away from home this time would be the turning point in Feng Katie's life. Kai-dai is very good right now, you can go in peace. Feng Yuntian muttered to himself before returning to his bamboo house. Feng Kai-dai lived in seclusion in the carefree valley, so she did not pay attention to outside matters. She had heard a bit about miracle commerce, but as for what was special about it, Feng Kai-dai did not know. She really did not understand. Chu Tian was clearly a talented person, so why did he open a restaurant? This food and lodging business was something that middle and lower class merchants did. For families like the four great families or those with high status, they would not be involved in this kind of low-end business. Feng Kai-dai came to Central State City with a stomach full of doubts. Not long after, she smelled a strange smell. This was a smell that Feng Kai-dai had never smelled before. Not only Feng Kai-dai, but all the people on the street were attracted. Big brother, do you smell it? I smell it. What is this fragrant? That's right, it's really strange. Where did it come from? Father. What is being sold outside? Why is it so fragrant? Come, let's go take a look. When everyone found the source. There was a long line in front of the Miracle Hotel, with at least 800-900 people. There were mercenaries, rogue cultivators, noble military officers, common soldiers, and maids and housekeepers. This scene was very spectacular. Wasn't this hotel just bought by Miracle Commerce with a large sum of money? It hadn't been renovated yet, so it was impossible for it to open this early. Why were there so many people lining up? Feng Kai-dai looked through the crowd. There were several giant pots in front of the Miracle Hotel and each giant pot was filled with boiling oil. All kinds of seasoning had been added and large pieces of meat were rolling inside. The fragrance was mainly coming from the pots. In front of each pot was a young man wearing a Miracle Commerce staff uniform, using a long ladle to scoop up and down the meat in the pots. There were several large boxes in front of the hotel and each box was filled with canned food. Miracle Commerce's employees were busy taking out boxes of canned food and selling them in full swing. Everyone was fighting to be the first to buy them. Everyone line up first. One by one, you're not allowed to cut the line. At this time, there was a beautiful green-clothed girl standing on a bench. Her hands were holding a large loudspeaker as she used a sweet and clear voice to shout to everyone. This is the Miracle Commerce's pre-opening event. What you're seeing right now is food cooked with source energy cooking techniques. The materials used are all level 1 and 2 demon beast meat and herbs. It's delicious and can strengthen the body. In the entire southern Xia or even the continent, only our Miracle Commerce has this technology. Before the Source Energy restaurant officially opens, we'll hold an event every day to invite everyone to try the food for free. Today we'll bring you braised meat. We'll use high-quality barbarian beef and 38 kinds of herbs and spices to make a stew, finally creating a unique braised meat. The quantity is limited. First come first serve. Free. There was such a good thing. Everyone had long been tempted by the aroma, and they immediately rushed forward to be the first to eat. Feng Kai-dai squeezed to the front with great difficulty. There were already many people around her leading the food and her ears were filled with all kinds of praises. Delicious. Too delicious. I never thought that demon beast meat could be made to taste like this. Big brother, I've already finished my portion. I see that your stomach isn't too good, how about sharing some with your brother? Fuck you. Stealing father's braised demon beast meat. Be careful or we won't be brothers anymore. Everyone wolfing down the food made Mang Yingying's heart very happy. She was the one who invented the braised meat and it hadn't even been introduced in South Sky City. She never thought that it would be so popular in Central State and her confidence soared. Boss. Your food is too delicious. Can I have another portion? Everyone can only try one free portion a day. Mang Yingying held the loudspeaker and shouted, if everyone doesn't feel satisfied, Miracle Commerce will release a large amount of canned meat for everyone to try at half price. This was the main point. Canned meat? What is canned meat? Everyone had never heard of it before. The braised meat you just tasted is only one flavor of demon beast meat. Our miracle commerce has already invented 8 flavors of canned meat. Meng Yingying beamed with joy as she shouted, these are all foods made using magic cooking techniques. Not only are they easy to digest, they can also quickly restore physical strength and slowly restore magic power. They can even strengthen muscles and bones and increase cultivation. Not only is the canned meat delicious, it also has a long shelf life. A conservative estimate is that it can last around a year. Even in a hot supermarket, it can last for half a year. Other than that, the canned meat itself has a heating array. As long as you inject spirit energy into it, it will automatically heat up. No matter where you go, you can eat delicious hot food. Is this true? This was an incredible invention. They had never heard of food that could last this long. Meng Yingying wiped away the beads of sweat and continued to shout, everyone can only buy 5 portions a day. If you buy any Miracle Commerce canned meat during the event, you can also win a lottery. Miracle Commerce's phonograph and other products are waiting for everyone to pick up. Don't miss such a good opportunity. Everyone was shocked. Why didn't you say so earlier? I want to buy. I want 5 cans. Everyone rushed forward to buy the cans. Feng Kaidai was also curious, let's go buy 2. Alright. Xiang Hu placed the box on the ground, I'll go now. The crowd rushed forward and several large boxes of cans were quickly destroyed. These cans were all made using source energy cooking techniques. There were braised meat, smoked meat, barbecued meat, pickled meat, etc. Demon beast meat was not easy to rot, and when Meng Yingying made the cans, she added some special herbs, ensuring that the canned meat would not go bad for around a year. How could this not cause an uproar? Source energy restaurants were expensive and it was hard to get a spot. Now that they could sell source energy food in cans, wouldn't that increase their sales? To merchants, this was a good business opportunity. If they bought large amounts of canned food and transported it to other cities, it would be sold at several times the price. As for mercenaries, sailors, armies, and wandering rogue cultivators, it was a tailor-made good item. These professions were doing missions or rogue cultivators going out to cultivate, not returning to the city for 10 days to half a month. Maintaining food in the wilderness was a problem. Now it was good. The canned demon beast meat was not only delicious and nutritious, it was also very filling. The most important thing was that the demon beast meat could strengthen one's physique and even slowly recover spirit energy. This was a must-have item for traveling. Was the canned food delicious? Could it really last this long? Everyone was filled with curiosity and impatiently wanted to test it out. Chapter 164. The Chu, Luo, and Yi families had been blocking all information about Miracle Commerce. Unless it was something big that couldn't be blocked, like Chu Tian killing the elders of the 3 families, Chu Tian capturing Yi Tianlang, or Chu Tian forcing Yi Wudao to retreat, anything related to Miracle Commerce could not be reported in the local media. This caused the Central State City citizens and low-level cultivators to not have a good understanding of Miracle Commerce. It could even be said that it was very vague. Looking at it now, it wasn't a bad thing. This would give the citizens a sense of novelty, so when Miracle Commerce came to Central State City, as long as they used a few tricks, it was easy to catch people's eyes and cause a strong shock. Meng Yingying had been shouting with the megaphone for over half an hour, she was already sweating profusely from exhaustion. What made Meng Yingying very proud was that the canned food had almost been sold out. The canned food was Meng Yingying's idea. When Nangong Yun left South Sky City, only Yingying was left to manage the restaurants in South Sky City. The 3 restaurants in South Sky City were very popular and they needed to make reservations every day to get a spot. Sometimes they had to wait for several days to make a reservation, it was really hard to find a spot. There were many rogue cultivators and mercenaries who thought that it would be great if they could eat Miracle Commerce's food anytime, anywhere, even in the wild. Miracle Commerce's source energy cooking pots were not for sale, so this idea was destined to be a fantasy. No one would have thought that a moment of complaint would give Meng Yingying inspiration. That's right. Miracle Commerce did not leak their technology, so they were very cautious in hiring people. Therefore, it was impossible for them to open new restaurants quickly, so many people would not be able to eat the delicious and nutritious source energy cooking pots. Wouldn't a large market be wasted? Meng Yingying suddenly had an idea. If they could use source energy cooking pots and put them in special packaging, wouldn't there be a large market for them? When her elder sister heard of Meng Yingying's idea, she immediately gave her approval and support. Meng Yingying's confidence was greatly boosted. She immediately gathered more than 10 experienced chefs and researched day and night. They finally invented canned food. In fact, in terms of technology, canned food wasn't complicated at all. However, most of the time, a great product only lacked a flash of inspiration and ingenuity. The introduction of canned food would definitely have a great impact. It was a milestone for the expansion of miracle food and beverage. The major clans, armies, mercenaries, loose cultivators, and even ordinary people would come to try the delicacies. Not only did it solve the problem of survival in the wild to a great extent, but it also gave people sufficient nutrition and strengthened their bodies. How many millions of people had benefited from this invention? Meng Yingying personally supervised the production of a large batch of canned meat. It hadn't even been released in South Sky City, so she didn't know how the market would react. She brought all of the canned meat to Central State City to sell. What was surprising was, the canned food was wildly welcomed and supported on the first day. The explosive scene was an affirmation of Yingying's hard work. People no longer needed to endure dry rations on long journeys. After long-term missions, they no longer needed to worry about the lack of nutrition that would cause their bodies to weaken. With a can of canned meat and a jug of wine, no matter where they went, they could experience the delicacies of miracle commerce. This was truly a great invention that benefited both the country and the people. Meng Yingying's voice was a bit hoarse from shouting, but she didn't feel tired at all. She held the loudspeaker in her hand and continued to shout, "Thank you everyone for your support. Today's canned food has been sold out. Those friends who didn't buy canned food, please line up here tomorrow. The quantity is limited, so first come first serve." What? It's sold out this quickly. I've already lined up for an hour. Meng Yingying faced everyone's complaints and shouted into the loudspeaker, "Miracle Commerce has come from afar, so we didn't bring a lot of canned food. But everyone doesn't need to worry, Miracle Commerce is already preparing to open a canned food processing factory in the main city. Other than that, Miracle Commerce will buy large amounts of demon beast meat at a high price. Mercenary friends, don't waste the demon beast meat you find. As long as you bring it to us, we will buy it no matter how much you have. Miracle Commerce will also open a farm in the prairies outside the city. If we catch a suitable demon beast cub, we will give a good price to buy it. Please don't let everyone suffer a loss." The mercenaries and merchants all revealed looks of pleasant surprise. This was a giant business opportunity. Miracle Commerce was opening a source energy restaurant in Central State City and wanted to mass-produce canned meat, using demon beast meat. Therefore, it wasn't hard to foresee that the originally worthless demon beast meat would greatly increase in value in the near future. In this world, there were more beasts than people. The land inhabited by intelligent life forms was not even a few tens of millions of the continent's land. Most of the places without intelligent life forms were demon beast worlds, so the amount of demon beasts was very large. It could even be said that they were overrun. A bustling city like Central State City would often face the threat of beast hordes, even seriously affecting the safety of the city. Because of this, many mercenaries and rogue cultivators hunted demon beasts for a living. However, the most common and most worthless thing on demon beasts was their meat. With the appearance of Miracle Commerce, this situation would immediately change. The price of beast meat would increase. When source energy cooking became more common, the demand for beast meat would become even larger. For these people who hunted demon beasts for a living, it would increase their income by a large amount. How could anyone refuse this kind of good thing? After the canned food was sold out, it was time to draw a prize. Congratulations, you've drawn the third prize, a level 1 talisman refined by Miracle Commerce. Congratulations, you've drawn the third prize, a bottle of medicine produced by Miracle Commerce. Anyone who bought canned food would have a chance to draw a prize, and the chances of winning were very high. The worst prize would be a dagger forged from fine iron or a short sword as a souvenir. Many people would even draw talismans, potions, and other more valuable things. Miracle Commerce prepared tens of thousands of gifts for free every day. This rich and overbearing attitude made the citizens feel excited. This event was planned by Meng Qinggu. On one hand, it was to let the citizens see Miracle Commerce's wealth and power. On the other hand, it was to spread Miracle Commerce's products in the city as fast as possible. It would take at least 8 to 10 days for a large hotel to open. Miracle Commerce used free food, special canned food, and all kinds of prizes to attract the citizens' attention. Congratulations! You've drawn the first prize. You've received a qi refining pill from Miracle Commerce. The crowd broke out in cheers. Miracle Commerce did not know much about other products, but this qi refining pill was very famous. Its price was very high in the underground market and one could earn a fortune just by selling a single one. Congratulations! You've drawn a special prize. You've received a limited edition first-generation phonograph from Miracle Commerce. You've also received a disc of basic courses that can be played 10 times. The people broke out in cheers. Phonograph? Wasn't this something from Qilin Hall? There was even a disc of basic courses. How could this be? Even if it was the lowest level introductory course, it was still a treasure that was hard to estimate. The atmosphere of the crowd reached a climax again and again. Free food, large amounts of canned food, and precious prizes. When the Source Energy restaurant officially opened, its reputation would have already spread and it would be hard for its business to not be good. Young miss. I'm back. Why are you so slow? Did you manage to get the canned food? There's no other way, there are too many people and I can't cut in line. It's already sold out before it's my turn. Xiang Hu had a depressed look on his face. This Miracle Commerce's business was too good. Young miss, don't worry. I spent 10 times the price and bought 2 cans from a mercenary. Feng Katie's eyes lit up. Let me take a look. The canned food that Miracle Commerce produced was a cylindrical container made of copper. The material itself was not strange at all. There were no patterns or designs on it, it only stated the brand and the manufacturer, as well as the words, canned braised pig trotters. Feng Kaidai carefully looked at it and there were even smaller words written on it. It stated the type of canned food, how to use it, what herbs and spices were used, as well as the benefits of eating Source Energy food. It was clear and easy to understand. Although the packaging was very simple, it was very creative. From the reaction of the crowd, it was clear that everyone liked it. Feng Kaidai opened it with a curious heart. Inside were 3 large pig trotters that were soaked in a kind of half-solidified gelatinous soup. According to the description written on the side of the can, this soup was made with 6 herbs and 9 spices. It had an anti-spoilage effect and was enough to preserve food for around a year. The food was already cooked and could be eaten directly after opening the can. For a better taste, one could also heat up the meat can. Feng Kaidai held the can with both hands and slowly poured her essence energy into it. A few simple runes appeared at the bottom of the can, and the originally half-congealed soup actually automatically started to heat up. It was like a hot meal that had just been taken out of the pot. Aya! It's really Zhou Dao. Feng Kaidai sniffed it. The fragrance was rich and enticing, it was very appetizing. Feng Kaidai did not care about her image as she took out a piece of pig trotter and tasted it. Her eyes widened in shock. Feng Kaidai was someone who had seen the world and had eaten all kinds of delicious food. She did not dare believe that this was demon beast meat. Demon beast meat itself was very hard to cook. Moreover, the pig trotters were very tough and the inside of the can of meat was completely cooked. The meat was chewy and the mouth was dry. The ingredients were all mixed with herbs and spices and the taste was unbelievably delicious. Feng Kai-dai couldn't help but take a bite and finish the pig trotters in 2 or 3 bites. Her mouth was full of grease and she did not care about her beautiful image. How was this fast food? It was simply an unbelievable delicacy. Just this canned food was enough to make Miracle Commerce famous all over the world. The taste is too good. Feng Kai-dai found that after tasting one, she could not stop. Are there any more? Xiang Hu said awkwardly, I'm sorry miss, I've finished all of it. Feng Kai-dai glared at him, fine, since we know Chu Tian, we'll order a batch of canned food from inside. This thing is too delicious and can also strengthen the body and increase cultivation. Not only is it the best food for cultivators, it can also be our best snack. Snack? This was not cheap for a normal person. The most common level 1 demon beast meat was 10 gold coins per can. Canned food with a heating source energy array would cost at least 20 gold coins per can. Of course, to a noble disciple, this was not a problem at all. Feng Kai-dai wiped her mouth clean and immediately revealed her identity as she walked into the renovated hotel. Chapter 165. Chu Tian was leisurely sitting in the hotel drinking tea. The snow-white little fox was sitting on its master's crossed legs, also crossing one leg over the other. That expression and demeanor was exactly the same as its master. Its 2 little claws were holding a jade teacup, even the way it drank tea was the same as its master. Speechless. Truly one is marked by the company one keeps. Such a cute little fox, who would have thought that after staying with Chu Tian for a long time, it would learn its master's bad habits. Chu Tian was not ashamed at all, this is the elven green tea that old man Yun gave me. Young miss, have a cup. Meng Qinggu took a sip of the tea. The fragrance filled the air, making her body feel comfortable. Her spirit energy seemed to be cleansed and her body had a wonderful feeling of clarity. It really was a good tea. Ying has a shy and innocent personality, always being satisfied with the status quo. It's rare for her to care about something this much. Meng Qingwu's gentle autumn water-like eyes stared at Chu Tian, but sometimes when I see her working hard all day, my heart doesn't feel good. I don't know if this change is good or bad for her. Meng Qingwu's mood was very complex. On one hand, she hoped that Ying would be motivated, having the power to protect herself in this world where the strong preyed on the weak. On the other hand, she hoped that Ying could live a carefree life, never being involved in worldly battles or fame. Do you think the tired Ying is happier or the carefree Ying from before is happier? Meng Qinggu looked outside. Her little sister's petite body was standing on the high platform, holding the horn in one hand and waving it with the other. Her head was covered in sweat and her cheeks were red. She was excitedly shouting, revealing a proud and satisfied look. She gave a knowing smile and didn't say anything. But doesn't young miss feel that this matter is a bit strange? Chu Tian held the teacup and said in a serious voice, how could Ying's stupid brain come up with this idea? She wouldn't be possessed, right? How about we show her? Pei. Speaking without thinking. You're the one who's possessed. Meng Qingwu's towering chest heaved up and down. She was determined to protect her sister, so how could she tolerate this guy's nonsense? She's so hardworking. Don't you know that diligence makes up for her lack of talent? Hard work? Don't joke around, do you think I don't know this girl's background? He's almost half as lazy as I am. How did I get into the Meng family in the first place? It was because she didn't want to do her homework. You still don't believe me. After she used the magic mirror source spirit to copy the heavenly book source spirit's learning ability, not only did she learn some of the key techniques of miracle commerce, she also locked herself in her room every day. If she wasn't cultivating, then she was reading and learning. I don't know which story he got the inspiration for canned food from, but in order to develop the best canned food, he specially flipped through dozens of cookery books and found more than 10 chefs to help him. He secretly developed the canned food for a few days and nights. It can be said that he gave his all. Meng Yingying looked weak on the surface, but she was a very proud person. She saw how smart Chu Tian was, how capable her elder sister was, and how strong elder sister Nangong was. She was alone, uncultured, had no skills, and couldn't fight. How could she not be anxious as a flower vase? Before Chu Tian left, he casually exhorted her with a few words, which greatly encouraged her attitude. A green-clothed girl holding a loudspeaker walked in. Her head was covered in sweat and her white face was slightly red. She stood in front of the two of them with a proud expression. "It's all done." That sweet and pleasant voice rang out. It was as clear and bright as a lark, making it easy for people to have a good impression of her. "Elder sister, is there anything that needs to be improved?" "No need." Meng Qinggu shook her head with a faint smile. "Let's drink some tea and rest." Meng Yingying giggled. "I'm not tired. I feel very happy." Actually, Meng Yingying was one of the beauties that Chu Tian knew, and he had the best relationship with her. In the beginning, it was Meng Yingying who brought him out of the slave market. That was why Chu Tian was able to have everything that happened after that. He would always take special care of Meng Yingying. Even if she was just a flower vase, he would take care of her for a lifetime. Who knew that this insensitive and naive girl would occasionally have a flash of inspiration that was enough to surprise people? Meng Yingying described the latest situation. General Xiong Wuji from the general's residence has sent people to order 200,000 cans of canned food from us. All the big families, mercenary groups, and merchant groups have also sent us orders for canned food in advance. We haven't even started building the canned food factory, but the orders for canned food are already coming in like snowflakes. Not bad. Chu Tian couldn't help praising. Yingying's canned food is going to be famous all over the world. Meng Yingying's face turned red and she scratched her head in embarrassment. "I only thought of the idea." During the canned food development process, elder sister gave me quite a bit of help and the current business strategy was also finalized by elder sister on the way here. Meng Qinggu gently said, "If it's your credit, then it's yours. What does it have to do with me?" "I say, you two sisters shouldn't be so modest. It's like other people don't know your feelings." Chu Tian laughed. "If there's merit, then you should be rewarded. Half of the canned food's profits will be given to you as a bonus. You guys should properly promote the canned food and use it to increase the influence of the Source Energy restaurant. Half of the annual profits as a bonus?" This was too much. From today onwards, Yingying will be in charge of miracle dining. Yingying asked in a surprised voice, "Then what about elder sister Nangong?" "Nangong's vice chairman position is fine, but Nangong has other important businesses to develop, so I'm afraid she won't have time to manage miracle dining. Nangong Yun would be transferred to Qilin Hall as the highest manager." She had a domineering and righteous personality and was filled with the aura of the Jianghu. She was destined to be an elder sister that could convince others. With Yun Yao and Yun Xiao as her assistants, it wouldn't take long for her to win over a large group of little brothers and make a name for herself in Central State. When they were talking, a beautiful and noble-dressed girl walked in. "Sorry Brother Chu. I'm late." The great beauty Feng had arrived. Feng Kaidai noticed the two girls as soon as she came in. The green-clothed girl was very cute and beautiful and the white-clothed girl was dignified and steady with a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. The two of them looked very similar, so it was clear they were sisters. Miracle Commerce's vice chairman Meng Qinggu and this is Miracle Commerce's chairman Meng Yingying. You should have already seen her outside. Chu Tian introduced them to everyone. This is Shen Fengho's daughter, Feng Kaidai. I've mentioned her before. Hello elder sister Kaidai. Meng Yingying passionately welcomed her. Elder sister is truly beautiful, no wonder that bad fellow kept mentioning you to us. Chu Tian was a little embarrassed. When did he keep mentioning her? Didn't he only say it once? This is our first time meeting, so I didn't prepare any gifts. Feng Kaidai gently waved her hand and Xiang Hu quickly brought over the box. Feng Kaidai opened the box and revealed 10 exquisite jade bottles. These finished pills are useless to me, but they can help you break through in a short period of time. Please accept them. Meng Qinggu was a little surprised. This gift is too precious. It's not precious at all. Feng Kaidai very appropriately said, compared to the help you've given me, this is just a small repayment. I hope you won't reject it. The Meng Qinggu sisters were a little hesitant. Chu Tian saw this and said, since young Miss Feng has good intentions, we'll accept it. Although he didn't expect the two sisters to have a strong battle strength, their cultivation bases still needed to keep up. I came to find you because of other important matters. After Feng Kaidai gave the gifts to the two sisters, she said to Chu Tian with a serious expression, let's talk about the matter of the Central State Tower. The Central State Tower's trial? Chu Tian did not understand this at all and did not have much interest in it. It was a trial. It was just a place for young people to train. What was there to see in this place? The ancient civilizations of the continent have left behind countless treasures. The trial grounds are one of them. Feng Kaidai said this and then her tone suddenly changed as she asked, do you know why the trial grounds were created? How could Chu Tian not know? The ancient families and kingdoms, in order to train the most outstanding young people, they created a special trial ground with the goal of increasing their strength. That's not all. Some of the trial grounds were built by ancient sections. Their purpose was to find a suitable successor among the trial takers. When a sect is about to be destroyed, they will spend all their effort to create a secret realm, so you can't look down on it. Is that so? From the looks of it, the Central State Tower is not normal. Chu Tian was a little surprised. What's different about it? Don't look down on this opportunity. Feng Kaidai was most worried about Chu Tian's personality. It seemed like he did not care about anything and would waste this great opportunity. First of all, the Central State Tower was not built by humans and has a very long history. It could be a relic of an ancient civilization. Hidden within were incredible treasures, and past trial takers had been able to obtain extremely generous rewards. The Central State four great families and even the Feng family have spent all their effort to obtain a spot. This is not without reason. This was also true. Feng Kaidai hesitated for a few minutes and then said a piece of information normal people did not know. I once heard a secret from my father. There was once a scholar who found a legend about the Central State Tower in the ruins. Chu Tian's eyes lit up. What is it? The Central State Tower has an ancient lost problem. An ancient lost problem? What kind of problem is it? It's just a legend. Feng Kaidai shrugged her shoulders and said, but since it's an ancient lost problem, it must be very difficult. No one has been able to solve it since ancient times, and it's said that if someone can solve it, perhaps they can obtain an ancient treasure or even a secret that transcends life and death. Pa! The jade cup was crushed to pieces. Meng Qinggu and Meng Yingying were stunned. The two of them had never seen Chu Tian like this before. Chu Tian had already stood up and his aura had completely changed. He was like a completely different person. Does this kind of mystery really exist? It's just a legend and no one has seen it before. But since the legend has been passed down, perhaps it isn't groundless. Feng Kaidai never thought that Chu Tian would be this interested in this matter. If we want to know the answer, we can only go in and take a look. Chu Tian returned to his normal appearance and rubbed his chin as he said, this is a bit interesting. It seems like we really need to take a look. What are the rules of the trial? Survival. Feng Kaidai continued to say, the trial will meet a harsh challenge of survival. The longer one survives in the trial, the richer the rewards will be. Feng Kaidai took out a book from her sleeve. These are the notes left behind by the 10 trial participants in the past 50 years. I hope it will be of some help to you. The experiences of the predecessors are just a reference. The trial's environment and terrain will constantly change and it will be different every time it opens, but it will always be the same. It will test strength, test wisdom, and test luck. This trial tower's manufacturing technique was not simple. In a small country like the southern summer country where the spiritual energy was thin, there should not be such a mysterious trial. But the continent's spiritual veins would change. Perhaps it could be traced back to ancient times when the spiritual energy in this land was not as thin as it was now. The trial is about to begin. I hope you can properly study the notes. Kai-Dai won't bother Brother Chu anymore. I'll say my goodbyes here. Before Feng Kai-Dai left, she asked Meng Yingying for a few cans of food. She said that she would bring it back for Shen Fengho to try. Meng Yingying did not dare not give it to her and directly gave Kai-Dai a large box. Chapter 166. Elder sister Kai-Dai is truly generous, she really is worthy of being Shen Fengho's daughter. Meng Yingying took out the jade bottles from the small treasure chest and looked them over, praising them non-stop. Because they were all made from level 2 elixirs, their value was very high. Even if one had money, they might not be able to buy them. Elder sister and I have hope of breaking through to the second awakened soul layer. Meng Qinggu looked at Chu Tian with a strange gaze. This young Miss Feng's attitude towards you is not normal, I'm afraid you are not just some casual acquaintance. Meng Yingying heard this. Was there something fishy going on? How could that be? She put the jade bottles back into the box and closed it with a pa sound. She put her hands on her hips and fiercely said, "Be honest and be strict, what is your relationship?" The two sisters were extorting a confession at the same time. Chu Tian had a helpless expression. You want to care about this? Nonsense. Meng Yingying had an unreasonable appearance. No matter how strict you are, who knows how many girls will be tricked by you? Do you think everyone else is as stupid as you? Chu Tian honestly told her everything that had happened. Meng Yingying was suddenly enlightened. No wonder when South Sky City was surrounded by the Ye family, Shen Fengho came out to help us. Elder sister Feng Kai-Dai really is a good person. She is Shen Fengho's daughter, she has a noble status and is high above everyone else. You're not allowed to have any ideas about her and you're not allowed to bully her, do you understand? Alright, I won't have any ideas about her. Meng Yingying winked at her elder sister and revealed a victorious smile. When did this stinky girl turn into a little tiger? This was truly going against the heavens. What kind of joke is this? Does an outstanding person like me need to take the initiative? It's usually other people that have ideas about me, alright? Speaking of this, you have to be careful in the Central State Tower. Meng Qinggu had already heard of the legends of the Central State Tower, so she knew how important the Central State Tower's trial was to a person. Because of you, the Chu, Luo, and Yi families' disciples were not able to participate, so those three families will definitely hate you. Other than the top 6 of the Central State Tournament, the Central State's 4 young masters were also participating in the trial. Although the Yun family supports you now, but based on Purple Lightning young master's strength alone, it is impossible for him to contend against the others. Among the 4 great young masters, the Purple Lightning young master was ranked last. When Yunyao broke through to the 4th awakened soul layer and obtained the soul-contracting thunder spirit bead, her strength should not be weaker than Yi Tianlong's. She should not be weaker than Luo Xianglong by much, but she should be on par with these two. If you were to fight against Chu Xinghe, there was no hope at all. The strength of the leader of the 4 princes was even greater than the sum of the other 3. The Heavenly Sword Young Master, the Dragon Tiger Young Master, and Prince Tianlang, these 3 illustrious Soul Realm experts, if they all attacked Chu Tian's group at the same time, how could the trial continue? Meng Qinggu continued to remind him, don't look down on the Central State's 4 great families. It is not a coincidence that the 4 great families have been in Central State City for 200-300 years. Even if they are afraid of Shen Fengho's fame and don't dare make a move against you, it is hard to guarantee that they won't try to assassinate you. Assassinate? If they had this ability, I would have already died on the streets, I wouldn't have waited until today. Chu Tian said with a smile, "Relax, it's just a small family in a small city in a small country. What ability do they have? They are just trying to show off their might." Meng Qinggu continued to say, "Other than that, when I was in South Sky City, I received some news that the Central State 4 great families are trying to secretly decipher our techniques." Chu Tian was a bit stunned, but he did not care about it. This was hard to avoid. Every time a new pill or talisman appeared on the market, it would attract the attention of the large families. If this product had any commercial value, they would immediately invest a large amount of resources to try and decipher it. The prospects of the source energy electric lamp and source energy cooking were wide. It was impossible for the large families not to be jealous. Even if Meng Qinggu was careful, she could not stop the source energy electric lamp from falling into their hands. After they obtained the electric lamp, they could copy the source energy array on it and reverse engineer the design. If the source energy array design was deciphered, the source energy electric lamp technology would be completely exposed. At the same time, the source energy pot was the same. This was one of the most common methods of competition in this era. There was no such thing as protecting patents, even the empire allowed this kind of behavior. Everyone relied on their own strength, whether it was research or deciphering. Whoever had the technology would have the qualifications to produce it. Although it was hard to reverse engineer it, the complexity of a level 1 source energy array was limited. The large families had hundreds of scholars working together, so there was still a chance of deciphering it. They could even send the source energy array to Imperial City and find a professional master, or even spend a large sum of money to hire a great scholar to decipher it. Once the technology was deciphered, Miracle Commerce's production and influence would not have any advantage. These large families could instantly gather a large amount of production resources and steal the market 10 times faster than Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce's technology would become someone else's wedding dress. Chu Tian gave a carefree smile. "No need to worry, even if my source energy array is level 1, these good-for-nothings won't be able to decipher it in 3 to 5 years. Even if they can decipher it, the products produced will be defective products. There is no guarantee of stability and it will not be able to compete with Miracle Commerce. Being afraid will only restrict us. We can develop freely and make our own products. We can let them follow behind us and eat dirt." Chu Tian said this. Meng Qinggu was relieved. With Meng Qinggu's heavenly book source spirit's quick learning ability, she had already grasped a part of the technology. Although she did not know much about arrays, Southern Cloud Commerce used to make talismans. Didn't they know how to kill a pig and not eat pork? Whether it was the shape or style of Chu Tian's source energy array, it was far from the mainstream of the modern era. It could be said to be several years ahead of its time. Even if it was a level 1 array, it was impossible for a small country like the Southern Summer Country to decipher it. Even if it was a large empire with experts like Clouds, it would still be a challenging matter. As for deciphering a part of it, perhaps they could make a lamp or a source energy pot, but in terms of stability, sensitivity, and safety, it would be far inferior. It would not be able to replace Miracle Commerce. At most it would be able to occupy a small portion of the market. Let them decipher it. This kind of thing was a low-level technology. Chu Tian did not put it in his eyes from the beginning. Chu Tian was most concerned with increasing his strength. The Central State Tower was a good opportunity. Not to mention that the Central State Tower contained the legendary 10,000-year lost problem, which made him very interested. After several days, the Central State Trial was about to begin. The Central State Trial was something that Central State City paid close attention to. This kind of opportunity only came once every 5 years, and it was common for people to dig out ancient tools, ancient treasures, and even top-grade inherited cultivation techniques. As for spirit medicines and spirit pills, there were countless of them, and there were even saint-level materials. How could the great clans not scramble for them? The forbidden area has opened. We ask the trial participants to enter. A deep and resounding shout rang out. Central State City's great General Xiong Wuji led the guards to surround the ruins. The magnificent honor guard of the four great families slowly entered the forbidden area of the central continent ruins. Each of the majestic beast carriages exuded a powerful and dignified aura. Central State Tower. The foundation of Central State City. It was because of the trial tower that there was a bustling Central State City. The Central State Tower was not like the 10,000 corpse ancient tomb, there was no restriction on cultivation. As long as one was under 30 years old, they had the qualifications to participate in the trial. So, the higher one's cultivation, the more advantage they had. Central State's Chu Xinghe had an overwhelming strength, which was something that none of the previous Central State trial participants had. So, this battle was destined to be a very intense one. The Central State Tower was 30 meters tall, standing in the ruins of the ancient city. It was completely snow-white, like it was made of jade or stone. It was covered in a hazy glow and an ancient and mysterious aura filled the air. After tens of thousands of years, it was completely new, without a single trace left behind. The greatest power in the world seemed to be unable to do anything to it. The first day Chu Tian arrived in the main city, he could feel that the main city was covered in a special ancient aura. The source seemed to be here. The four great families surrounded the Central State Tower, waiting for the trial to begin. Chu Shanhe, Yi Wudao, and Luo Yancheng all had dark and terrifying expressions on their faces. This was because these past few days had not been good for them. The three families had sent out more than one group of death soldiers to deal with Chu Tian, but in the end, none of the death soldiers they sent out had returned alive. It was impossible for that old man surnamed Yun to protect them all the time. When the three families noticed a silent black figure behind Chu Tian, they finally realized it was Qin Bingyu. It was actually this woman. Perhaps only this woman could secretly take care of the family's death soldiers. A woman like Qin Bingyu was always as cold as ice, so why would she protect Chu Tian over and over again? Truly hateful. As long as this woman was by Chu Tian's side, there was no chance of assassinating him. Even if the three family heads personally made a move, it would still be the same. Unless they invited the secluded or wandering remote great elders, but was this even easier said than done? Their eyes were filled with hatred. They were like arrows that wanted to pierce through Chu Tian. Yun Tianhe was a little worried as he said to Chu Tian in a low voice, "No one will die in the trial. If you fall into their hands, you should kill yourself to avoid being humiliated by them." Meng Qinggu was also present. When she heard Yun Tianhe say this, her heart filled with worry. Although one could not be killed in the trial, it was still possible for one to be heavily injured or crippled. Chu Tian had participated in this trial, so he was taking a large risk. Chu Tian had a relaxed expression, turning a blind eye to this. When he saw Yi Tianlang and his son, he even went up to greet them. "Yo, isn't this the stray dog young master? Last time I accidentally cut off your arm, so I was filled with fear and guilt. I never thought that your arm would grow back, so I can finally relax. But I advise you not to be this naughty in the future, otherwise it won't be as simple as losing 2 arms next time." Stray dog young master. Everyone looked over with a strange gaze. Yi Tianlang's white face turned red. That experience in South Sky City was Yi Tianlang's life's nightmare. Yi Wudao's face turned dark. If it wasn't for Yun Tianhe and Qin Bingyu being here, he would have killed this arrogant person on the spot. "How long can you be proud for?" Yi Tianlang's face twisted. "As long as we enter the trial, I'll make you beg for death." Chu Tian's body trembled. He used a very exaggerated and annoying acting to express the fear in his heart. "The stray dog young master is angry, I'm really scared." Luo Xianglong gave a snort. Although his relationship with Yi Tianlang was not good, Yi Tianlang was still on the same level as him. Chu Tian did not place the 4 young masters in his eyes at all. How could he swallow this anger? Chu Xinghe closed his eyes, not saying a single word. Chu Tian also knew when to stop, the trial was more important. The little fox secretly poked its head out of his clothes. Ji. Chu Tian patted its head. "What? Do you want to go in and take a look? But you're a living creature, can I bring you into the trial tower? The little fox stretched out its 2 claws and gestured that there was no problem. All right then. Chu Tian rolled his eyes, don't drag me out of the trial tower. No problem. You can be assured. The little fox confidently went back into his clothes. The earth suddenly shook a few times and the sky quickly darkened. It was like a piece of the sun had been bitten off and was covered in a large shadow. Moreover, the shadow was quickly expanding. Solar eclipse. The opening of the Central State Tower was a solar eclipse. A bolt of lightning fell from the sky and landed on the top of the Central State Tower. A wave of energy entered the Central State Tower. A large number of floating runes appeared. That tightly shut jade door suddenly and slowly disappeared. A passage that blossomed with white light appeared in front of everyone. An ancient and mysterious aura was released. It gave people the illusion that as long as they entered the passage, they would enter another world, a world with completely different laws. Participants, enter the tower. Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, Yi Tianlang, and Yun Yao, the 4 young masters walked in front. Chu Tian, Nangong Yun, Feng Kaidai, Yun Shao, Lin Mu, and Fang Han, the 6 of them followed closely behind. The little fox hid in Chu Tian's clothes and its body released a gray energy. It slowly wrapped around itself and followed Chu Tian into the passage. The trial officially began. Chapter 167. The moment he walked in. The heaven and earth shook and all living things trembled. Spiritual energy and spatial energy surged and was released like a tsunami, instantly covering the entire world, forming the trial world. A giant palace slowly appeared. Chu Tian first pulled open his clothes and saw a furry snow-white head sticking out. The little fox grinned at Chu Tian, revealing a proud look. I really couldn't tell that you had some skills. Chu Tian had read the notes that Feng Kaidai left for him. The trial tower did not allow living beings to be brought in, so battle pets and pets could not be brought in under normal circumstances. But the little fox had resisted the trial tower's laws and forcefully followed Chu Tian in. The little fox retreated back into his clothes. Chu Tian did not care about it and began to observe his surroundings. This place looked like a palace, but it was not a palace, rather it was an intersection. There were passages in all directions and it was a deep corridor. Although it was an intersection, because this place was too big, it was like he was in a grand palace. A single pillar was 200 meters long. It would take 60 to 70 people to surround it. Each floor was around 30 to 40 square meters. There was an ancient copper chandelier hanging from the ceiling, it was as big as a house. In short, everything here seemed to be magnified several times. There was no difference between humans and ants. 3 sharp killing intents suddenly surrounded Chu Tian. Even if one used there but to think, they would know that this was the Heavenly Sword Young Master, the Dragon Tiger Young Master, and Prince Tianlang. Chu Tian's hatred for them was too deep, how could they allow Chu Tian to participate in the trial? Killing people in the trial space would not kill them, but they could kick Chu Tian's group out, ending their chances. How could Chu Tian not know what his grandsons were thinking? Whether it was Chu Xinghe or the other 2, Chu Tian was not their match. If they really wanted to fight, Chu Tian would not have a chance at all. This was not good. If Chu Xinghe can send me back to my original position with a single sword strike, then what's the point of this trial? Fortunately, the terrain of the trial space had not yet been completed. The 10 of them were unable to move, giving Chu Tian a short period of time to observe. The 10 of them were locked in a large independent cage. The cage was made of metal as thick as an arm, and its surface was covered with runes. Chu Tian wasn't too familiar with this kind of ancient outsider-style array, but he was sure that it should be some kind of protective barrier. When the power of breaking out of the cage reached a certain level, it would activate the barrier on the cage. In other words, it was difficult to break the cage with brute force. The door of the cage was locked by a large black lock. The lock structure was very special. It looked like a Rubik's Cube. To be precise, it was an extremely complicated Rubik's Cube. Each side was 16 times 16, and the shape was irregular. Interesting. Chu Tian stroked his chin as a faint smile appeared on his face. From Feng Katie's notes, Chu Tian already knew the style of this trial. Although the trial was mainly to test one's strength, there were many undecipherable mechanisms within. If the trial challenger had enough wisdom and knowledge, then they could often achieve twice the result with half the effort. In terms of fighting, Chu Tian was not a match for any one of the four young masters. But in terms of knowledge, even if the four great families worked together, he would not place them in his eyes. Chu Tian continued to observe his surroundings. There was an incomparably large corridor that was at least 30 to 40 feet wide. From a human's point of view, how was this a corridor? It was simply a square. The overall style of the building was rough and grand. It seemed a bit familiar. Chu Tian was a very knowledgeable scholar. He had seen the palaces of the ancient giants in a book before. The style was very similar to the environment of the trial. Thus, he could conclude that this trial space was a simulation of the giant race's architecture. The walls on the left and right sides of the corridor had a large number of arched depressions. In each depression, there was a statue. The statues were 40 to 50 meters tall and they were all heavily armored guards. Some held spears, some held large swords, and some held giant axes. In any case, they all had different weapons. On each giant guard statue, there was a very complex source energy array system. Chu Tian's brows slightly knit together. Ayaya. This is incredible. He could see his surroundings in his mind and the entire process had only taken a few seconds. Chu Tian. Yi Tianlang was standing in a cage. His devilishly handsome face was filled with a dark expression as he angrily gritted his teeth like a wild beast. It's time for you to pay a bit of interest for your actions. Luo Xianglong's rough black face also revealed a cold killing intent. Your strength is so weak, you can deal with those wastes. Do you really think you can participate in the trial just because you have the qualifications? Since you've met us today, you'll stop here. Chu Xinghe did not say a word. He was wearing a white robe with a blue sleeveless jacket. His hair was tied up in a jade crown and he was wearing a black and gold cloak, with a golden treasure sword hanging on his back. That treasure sword was slightly trembling. It was like a suppressed flood dragon that could fly out at any moment. Although he did not say a word, the dangerous aura that Chu Xinghe released was much stronger than those two barking cats and dogs. As soon as there was a chance, Chu Xinghe would make a move first and those two fellows would not have a chance at all. Yun Yao was wearing a purple and blue cloak. A spirit orb that contained lightning energy slowly revolved around her body. Traces of dazzling lightning caused her hair to turn a deep blue. She said in a cold voice, "The training field is not a place for you to vent your personal grudges." Humph, humph, humph. It's not up to you. Luo Xianglong seemed to be afraid of Yun Yao's thunder spirit bead as he coldly said, "Yun Yao, standing on the wrong side is your biggest mistake. Pay the price for this." Fuck you. Nangong Yun's temper flared up as she loudly cursed, "Aren't you just relying on your higher cultivation base? If this old lady reaches the illustrious soul realm, I'll beat you like dogs." She was only cursing. Nangong Yun was clear in her heart that her and Chu Tian's strength could not compare to the last of the four young masters, Yun Yao. The main reason was that the difference in cultivation base was too big. Not to mention that the four young masters were all talented people, this kind of gap in strength was hard to cross. Feng Kaidai was wearing a palace dress. She held the divine wind sword in her hand and said with a frown, "Do you have to be this ruthless? Aren't you afraid of causing trouble for yourself? There is no hatred that can't be resolved, so why do you have to go against Chu Tian? Young Miss Feng, I respect you as Shin Fengho's daughter, so I won't make a move against you." Yi Tianlong's monstrous eyes flashed with a cruel glow, but you're relying on Shen Fengho's power to interfere in a personal grudge, aren't you meddling too much? Yi Tianlang had a deep grudge with Chu Tian. Even if he could not kill someone in the trial space and was kicked out of the space, it was still a precious opportunity for him. Even if it was Shen Fengho, he could not use this reason to make a move against them, right? Outside Feng Kaidai, everyone else had been killed. Yun Xiao, Lin Mu, and Fang Han all had helpless looks on their faces. I already said that I didn't want to come, but grandfather forced me in. Yun Xiao had a helpless look on his face. This is good. I can't obtain the Central State Tower's treasure and I might even be abused. Rather than being beaten to death, I might as well end my own life. Nangong Yun loudly cursed, do you have any ambition? At this time, the entire space began to tremble. Several white beams of light suddenly appeared in front of them and entered their bodies. Then they condensed into a necklace around their necks. There was a white jade token on the necklace that was glowing with a bright glow. The trial token has been activated. The trial token will control the trial's points. The longer the trial survives, the more points they will obtain. The trial's performance in the trial space will give them a chance to obtain extra trial points. The trial has officially begun. A voice sounded in the minds of the 10 people. It was cold and dry, without any emotions. It was as if it was born to explain the rules. The little fox excitedly stretched out its head and pointed its claw at its neck. The little fellow was wearing a miniature jade token on its neck. Was there a problem with the trial space's programming? It was fine if this thing mixed in, but it actually became a trial participant. How did it look like a trial participant? That's good. One more trial, wouldn't that mean one more prize? Just as the trial began, the surroundings began to tremble violently. The 10 of them could clearly see that the statues on both sides, which normally wouldn't move, were actually trembling. Large cracks appeared on the surface of the stone statues, and a terrifying aura was constantly erupting like a suppressed volcano. This is bad. The stone giants were about to awaken. Everyone revealed looks of shock. Even Chu Xinghe began to knit his brows. The stone giant guard released a strong aura. It seemed like it had reached the peak of the illustrious soul realm, almost reaching the true soul realm. This kind of terrifying existence, even if it was Chu Xinghe, it would be hard to defeat one of them, not to mention there were so many of them. Once the stone giant guards awakened, what the 10 of them faced was simply a disaster. The most terrifying thing was that the 10 of them were locked in a cage. If they could not escape from the cage in time, they would fall into the hands of the stone giant guards. Sword! Chu Xinghe gave a loud roar. The treasure sword came out of its sheath and with a dragon's roar, a golden sword glow slashed at the cage. The cage shook a few times and large amounts of runes appeared around it, forming a strong barrier. It actually absorbed Chu Xinghe's peerless attack. Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong attacked the cage with all their strength, but they were blocked by the cage's barrier. Yun Xiao, Lin Mu, and Fang Han were all stunned. These fierce characters were already struggling to break out of the cage, so what chance did they have? With their weak strength, they could only watch as the stone giant came out and smashed them into meat patties. Nangong Yun said in a depressed voice, "Boss, the situation is bad. What do we do? What are you panicking for, don't you have me?" Chu Tian looked at her with a look of disdain. "You're the big sister in the eyes of your lackeys, how could you not have the courage to face a mountain collapsing in front of you?" Nangong Yun spat out, "If it was just jumping in front of me, this old lady wouldn't even bat an eyelid, but the problem is that it's about to hit me. Watch me." Chu Tian calmly walked in front of the cage and picked up the extremely complex cube lock. Shwa, 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 shwa. His hands moved like a phantom. This irregular 16 by 16 super complex cube was quickly moving under Chu Tian's fingers. It was so fast that it was hard to see with the naked eye. Ka, ka, 咔，咔。 After around 3 minutes, the cube let out a complex sound and all the dents were restored. The entire cube turned into a perfect square with source energy arrays on all 6 sides that were connected to each other. With a peng sound, the entire cube turned into dust. Chu Tian's jade token lit up and 2 sounds appeared in his mind. You have successfully escaped the cage. You have been awarded 5 trial points. You currently have 5 trial points. The cube lock has been successfully unlocked. You have been awarded 20 trial points. You currently have 25 trial points. Chu Tian gently pushed and the cage slowly opened. He casually walked out. When he saw the Chu, Luo, and Yi trio wildly attacking the cage, he gave a laugh. He deliberately walked around the cage of the 3 of them and said with a gaze of pity and ridicule, "Being uneducated is truly terrifying. Didn't you want to kill me? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on." The 3 young masters' lungs were about to explode. How did this brat do it? That Rubik's Cube was not an ordinary toy Rubik's Cube. Each square was a rune, and each side was 16 times 16. The magic cube was not like an ordinary magic cube. An ordinary magic cube only needed the same color to be completed. The magic cube had no color. Instead, it arranged the same type of runes on the same side. And these runes were all ancient runes. It was already difficult for an ordinary person to understand one, let alone completely selecting them and classifying and reorganizing them. This kind of complex cube was not something a human could complete. How did he solve it? Nan Gongyun excitedly shouted, "Boss! Too handsome! Help me open the cage. Don't be anxious, I'm coming." Chu Tian walked in front of Nan Gongyun and went around the iron cage to grab the cube. His hands quickly moved and the several hundred squares moved. In less than 3 minutes, he had completed it. With a peng sound, the magic cube lock had turned to ashes. A cold voice sounded in Chu Tian's mind. Unlocked the cube. You have been awarded 20 trial points. You currently have 45 trial points. Unlocked the cube. You have been awarded 20 trial points. You currently have 65 trial points. Unlocked the cube. You have been awarded 20 trial points. You currently have 85 trial points. Chu Tian had unlocked 7 cubes and obtained a total of 140 trial points. Yun Yao, Feng Kaidai, Nan Gongyun, and the others had successfully escaped the cage, so they each obtained 5 trial points. Chu Tian had a total of 145 trial points. What kind of concept was this? Chu Tian had looked through the notes of the previous participants. There were some participants that did not even have 1 or 200 trial points at the end of the trial. Chu Tian had obtained them from the very beginning. This was an unimaginable feat. The designer of the trial probably did not expect this kind of thing. The cube was a very difficult challenge. Opening one at a certain time was already very difficult. Not only did it require the wisdom of a great scholar, it also required a very fast calculation ability. Although the Rubik's Cube wasn't some ancient puzzle, there were only a few people who had been able to solve it in the past thousands of years. So there was a reward of 20 trial points. The designer of the trial would never have thought that there would be a person that could not only open their own cube, but would also have enough time to help others open their cube and use this method to obtain trial points. Chu Tian was this kind of monstrous talent. Opening 7 cubes was as simple as drinking water to him. Chu Tian took out the jade token on his chest and looked at it. There were a few ancient numbers floating on the jade token, which was 145. Even if Chu Xinghe jumped out and killed Chu Tian with a single slash, Chu Tian could use his 145 trial points to exchange for several good elixirs. No matter what, he would not return empty-handed. Being cultured was being willful. Chapter 168. Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang were all stunned. What was happening? This bastard was cheating. Otherwise how could this happen? Weren't you all very arrogant? Come out of the cage now. Nangong Yun made a face at the three of them, revealing a provocative look. Yun Xiao muttered, let them continue to attack the cage. Let's quickly leave. If the cage was broken, it would truly be a tragedy. The three of them had high cultivations and the cage was very hard to trap them for a long time, so they did not have much time left. They had to leave as soon as possible. What are you in a rush for? Chu Tian's eyes flashed with a crafty light as he revealed his signature bad smile. If we leave, wouldn't the three of them be lonely? How about we find a few companions and have fun with them? Everyone was confused. What did this mean? Where did these companions come from? It's them. Chu Tian pointed at the surrounding stone giant guards that were slowly releasing their seals. Everyone attacked these fellows together and helped them break their seals. So it was like this. Everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This fellow was too bad. But these fellows were this arrogant, they deserved this kind of treatment. Go! Yun Yao decisively threw out the Thunder Spirit Bead. The Thunder Spirit Bead was covered in intense lightning and countless lightning snakes shot out, crazily attacking the stone giant that was breaking the seal. Large pieces of stone continued to fall from the stone giant's body. The other 6 were not idle as they began to attack the stone giant on the other side. When the stone giant was attacked, the speed at which the stone giant broke its body increased and the speed at which it broke the seal increased. They're about to wake up. Run! The stone giant was a terrifying existence at the peak of the illustrious Soul Realm, with a destructive might that reached the true Soul Realm. In other words, the stone giant's attack was around the same level as Yun Tianhe and Qin Bingyu. Any one of them was enough to kill them all, so how could they dare to stay? After working together to bombard the rock giant, causing it to speed up the sealing process, the 7 of them ran away like a wisp of smoke. Damn! Luo Xianglong's eyes popped out as he angrily roared into the sky. Yi Tianlang was so angry that he vomited blood. This guy actually escaped again. At this moment, a terrifying aura filled the air, and the 2 stone giants that were blasted slowly stood up from the wall. Monstrous killing intent surged out, and a low and furious roar enveloped the entire space. Countless gravel shot out from its body and fell to the ground like raindrops. The scene was like a landslide. Not good. The 2 giants were completely resurrected. The 2 behemoths were almost 50 meters tall. In front of them, the tiny human was not even the size of a toe. He was as small as a lowly bug. After the seals on the 2 giants were completely undone, they revealed their incomparably thick full-body armor, which emitted a metallic luster. Their incomparably huge bodies were almost wrapped up like iron cans. In the completely sealed peephole, only 2 glowing blue eyes could be seen. Trespassing into the forbidden area. Die! A terrifying sound wave erupted out majestically. Even with Luo Xianglong's and Yi Tianlang's cultivations, they were still shaken to the point where their blood began to boil. These giants were just too terrifying. The 2 giant guards roared and stood out from the walls on both sides. They each held a long battle axe in their hands and swung it high. A hurricane brewed on the blades of the axes as they chopped towards the 3 cages on the ground. Luo Xianglong's and Yi Tianlang's expressions changed. If these axes were to fall, the people and cages would be crushed. After all, this was an attack close to the true soul realm. No matter how amazing the 4 young masters were, how could they block it? It was a moment of life and death. Sword Intent Dragon. Break! Chu Xinghe gave a sharp roar and the sword in his hand turned into a wild golden flood dragon. It spun at high speeds as it slammed into the cages, creating a hole in them. Go! Chu Xinghe's hands formed a sword seal. That sword nimbly turned in the air. It actually split into 2 in the air, then into 4, then into 8, and finally into 16 golden swords. A soaring sword intent surged in this part of the world. Yi Tianlang and Luo Jinshi revealed serious expressions. This is the imperial sword art. The several dozen swords turned into several streaks of golden light that surrounded the giants. When the two giants raised their axes, a peerless attack was about to fall. Cut! Chu Xinghe's hands came together. The golden swords released a bright glow that turned into a sharp golden sword glow. The two swords slashed at the giant's feet, cutting off the giant's tendons. Several more swords charged forward, turning into golden lights that slammed into the giant's chest. Pang! A terrifying sound rang out. The giant's chest was pierced through by Chu Xinghe's sword. These giants had very strong defenses and their realms were much higher than Chu Xinghe's. Even in this kind of situation, Chu Xinghe was still able to pierce through them with a single slash. From this, one could see how powerful his attack was. The giant's body tilted. It almost fell down. The giant axes also changed direction and landed around the three cages. The fierce shockwave hit the cages and immediately weakened the seals and barriers on them. Good chance. Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang attacked the cages at the same time. The cage finally couldn't withstand the force from the inside and outside, and it completely exploded. Kill! Luo Xianglong stomped on the ground and his dark golden hair wildly danced. He was like an angry beast king as yellow spirit energy surrounded his body, finally forming the image of a giant beast. This beast was half dragon and half tiger. It had a long and narrow body that was covered in dragon scales, but it had the head of a tiger and 4 thick tiger claws. It was like a combination of dragon and tiger, giving it a very powerful aura. Lion-tiger dual phase. Luo Xianglong soared into the sky. One of his hands turned into the head of a lion and the other into the head of a tiger. Like a wild storm, he attacked the giant's body from the abdomen to the chest and then from the chest to the head. In just a few seconds, he had thrown out over 100 punches. Every punch caused the giant's thick armor to cave in. Luo Xianglong was like a wild dragon that soared into the sky. Then he fell down like a cannonball, smashing into the giant's head. Dragon-tiger fall. A circular wave of air first spread out, followed by a loud explosion. The giant's huge body, which was kneeling on the ground, actually crushed the solid floor. The powerful force caused by this attack could be seen from this. Demon Wolf Transformation. Demon Body Transformation. Demon Wolf Prey. Yi Tianlang turned into dozens of wolves that continued to attack the giant's body. Finally, he sent out a fierce attack that caused the giant's 1,000-ton body to take 2 steps back. The two giants shook their heads and slowly stood up again. The injury to their tendons had already healed. The armor that was dented by Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang's attacks was now bulging up and returning to its original state. Only Chu Xinghe's piercing attack could not be healed by the armored giants for the time being. Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong were both shocked. These giants were too strong. Even with their strength, it was impossible for them to defeat any one of them. There were at least hundreds of giant guards in this corridor, and if all of them were to wake up, it would be a disaster. Trespassing into the forbidden area. Die! The two giants once again raised their giant axes and slashed down at the 3 of them. Before the attack even arrived, a terrifying pressure filled the entire space, making it impossible for them to dodge. A light flashed in Chu Xinghe's eyes. His hands formed a sword seal. 16 golden treasured swords floated in the air and turned into an incomparably nimble golden thread. They circled around the giant's legs and climbed up, continuously cutting at the giant's leg muscles. The two giants instantly lost their balance. Another treasure sword quickly flew out and passed by the giant's wrists. One of the giants lost its balance and the axe it swung deviated, slamming into the giant's body. Hung, hung. This attack was too strong. The 3 young masters were sent flying several meters by the strong astral wind. The giant's chest was completely broken and the light in its eyes slowly disappeared. Finally, its body turned to stone again and it turned into a giant statue. When the giant pulled the axe out of its chest, the giant, which had turned back into a statue, instantly shattered and turned into a huge pile of rubble. You have killed one giant puppet. You have obtained 5 trial points. You currently have 10 trial points. A voice appeared in Chu Xinghe's mind. Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong revealed a look of shock. He was truly worthy of being Chu Xinghe. The giant guard was strong, but it was still a puppet. It did not have a high level of benevolence and its movement speed was relatively slow. It was impossible for the 3 of them to directly defeat the giant, but Chu Xinghe had used a method of luring the giant to attack the other giant. Using the giant's strength to destroy the giant. Of course, this seemed easy, but it was actually very hard to do. The sword technique Chu Xinghe had just used was not the Chu family's soul sword's secret art, but rather the ancient imperial sword technique that he had obtained from a sword cultivator's inheritance. What was the imperial sword technique? Using one's will to control the sword. Killing enemies 1,000 miles away. This was a very ancient and powerful sword technique. The sword was like an extension of his arm to Chu Xinghe. Even if it left his body, he could still control it to attack. There's still one. Kill it. As long as we kill this one blocking the way, I'll be able to catch up and take care of those bastards. Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang hated Chu Xinghe's group to the bone. With this giant blocking the way, the 2 of them did not dare to easily cross it. Chu Xinghe knit his brows and said, with the strength of the 3 of us, how could it be easy to defeat this kind of existence? Don't waste too much spirit energy here, we'll go the other way. Yi Tianlang angrily roared out with unwillingness, are we going to let them go? Chu Xinghe coldly said, since we're all in the giant's labyrinth, we'll meet them sooner or later. The other giants are about to awaken, so if we don't want to be killed, we'll immediately retreat. Actually Chu Xinghe did not think that with their strength, they would be able to survive in this trial space. To chase after a few pieces of trash and place themselves in danger, that was clearly an irrational action. There were several hundred giants in the surrounding corridors. If these giants were to wake up, then the difficulty of escaping would increase by more than 10 times. So what if the 3 of them could go around the giant in front of them? This giant would definitely chase after the 3 of them. Moreover, with Chu Tian's craftiness, it was hard to guarantee that he wouldn't wake up more giants along the way. At that time, the 3 of them would be caught in a pincer attack. When all the giants woke up, the 3 of them would face a disaster. Good. Let's go. Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang were not ordinary people. Although they were unwilling, they did not let their anger get to their heads. The 3 of them immediately ran in the opposite direction. This corridor was too long and there were giants constantly waking up on both sides. The speed at which these giants woke up was different and there were some that woke up earlier, posing a serious threat to the 3 of them. Chu Xinghe glanced around as if he had discovered something. The treasure sword flew through the air through the ruins of the armored giants and brought out several things. A map. A key. Chu Xinghe opened the map. This map had the entire giant's labyrinth on it, but it was written in ancient words, so Chu Xinghe could not understand it. But with a map, it was much more convenient. The 3 of them did not stop and quickly ran in the opposite direction. Too bad. This was the true meaning of the trial field. When a cultivator entered the trial field, they could not fight with a true soul realm giant. Even if their cultivation was at the true soul realm, it would be very hard to kill the giants in one move. Because the giants were too big, it was very hard to deal fatal attacks. The giants also had the ability to recover, so as long as a single attack did not kill the giant would recover in a short period of time. Wanting to survive in this kind of environment was too hard. Right now was the lowest level of difficulty. Once the trial space's environment was activated, it would not remain the same forever. Instead, it would continue to worsen over time. Eventually, more and more giants and monsters would awaken, and the traps would be activated more frequently. Even the monsters in the trial space would become more and more powerful as time passed. In the end, the giants might surpass the true soul realm, and their movements would not be as slow as they were now. They would move as if they were flying, and their moves would become richer. Some of them even had peerless techniques that could not be defended against. Other than that, there would be countless existences that were 10 times stronger than the giants. In short, the environment would continue to worsen until the cultivators could not hold on anymore. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.